been out of line. I'd fall anywhere with you. Hi, how's it going, everyone? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I am coming at you today with a podcast. This is podcast number 233 with Bleeves Crypto on life, DEVVE, making money in crypto, and more. He has mentioned many of things, pretty vocal over on his X. I was just seeing a little bit of he is we. Anyway, when I say his X, I mean that his X account over on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. Can't wait to ask him about a bunch of those things as well. But while we wait, we have a little bit of news to go over. We actually have a lot of news to go over as well. Yeah, he's a big fan of meme coins. Meme coins we'll definitely be talking about those. I'll definitely bring up the cat and all that jazz. So El Salvador had passed a bill to revise Bitcoin adoption strategy per the International Monetary Fund. This is from Reuters. Basically, El Salvador's Congress passed a bill to revise its Bitcoin adoption strategy as proposed by the International Monetary Fund in a $1.4 billion deal. The bill reportedly includes making Bitcoin acceptance voluntary for El Salvador businesses. The assembly approved a bill to revise and potentially scale back the country's Bitcoin adoption strategy. Basically, at one point, they were just like, hey, you have to take Bitcoin. Now it's just voluntary. Which is fine. I mean, whatever they're still accepting it. They're still doing all that jazz. Anywho, without further ado, let me introduce you to the one and only Bleeves Crypto. How's it going, fam?
What is going on, man? How you been?
Oh, we doing all right. We chilling and vibing up in here.
Yeah.
What we didn't do is we didn't say hello to Deie yet. Hello, Deie. That's my little dog statue we have back there.
Right
on. Anyway, the intro I did was basically just said that you have a pretty decent following on X, on YouTube. We'll get into the good stuff like DEVVE and meme coins and all that. But first, I'd like to ask about you. Here's kind of a fun one. When it first came out that Caitlyn Jenner was Caitlyn Jenner, I made a post on Facebook as a joke that said, like, hey, does anyone else think that she's kind of hot? And the comments were just a flurry of it was a mess. It was a war zone. It was like Fallujah down there. Anyway, when that came out, did you have any thought in your mind like, oh yeah, it's kind of cute? Or was that just a did that not pass your mind and I'm the weird one?
My response would be number one, well, now she got to sew her dick back on because Donald Trump's in charge. And number two, I don't care what people do with their body. I mean, there are so many people out here that, look, there are some seedy ass hoes, for lack of a better description, that have their bodies pierced up, covered in body art. They've defaced themselves, degraded themselves in thousands of different ways. And they're out here saying, oh, you can't do that. I'm going to call you a dude. I'm never calling you a chick. To me, it's all silly. As long as, if you're one of those people, as long as you can take the fact that if I see you and I recognize you as a dude and I comment as a dude, and you end up not being a dude, don't get mad at me the first time. Get mad at me if I screw up the second time. That's the only thing that I care about.
Fair point. So was there ever a passing thought in your mind like, oh yeah, she's not bad looking? Or is that or had that thought never crossed your mind? And again, I would be the only weird one.
The thing that no, because when I saw when I saw her the first time, I was like, ew, gross. You know what I mean? Like,
I said mine as a joke, but then as like people were like talking about it, I started thinking about it. Like, oh, you know what? It's actually not that bad. And and I was like, yeah.
I think Dave Chappelle once said that he wants to see her do like a Playboy, just because he was curious. And he's like, I'll be the first person to be like, ew.
I'd be curious to see that as well. What's up,
I
everyone?
Would not. I would not. As a matter of fact, that for me, that's one of those things where, again, I mean, that's not something that interests me one way or another. So I don't care. Whatever you want to do with yourself, do it. It's just, again, make sure that if you're going to be mad at me, be mad at me for what I did, not what you think I should have done.
That's a fair point. That's a good mindset to have. One of the other things that I want to ask you about. You said you had you eat once a day, so you do the intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And and I know you work, like, I know you work out. There's someone in Omicron's like, who is this high protein fella? And that's what we are getting to. You posted a photo the other day. Is that like, if I texted you that I'm interpreting this as I'm on my way to fill your bags, but that might be a different interpretation. Say, what do you do? And it's this
On my
massive.
way to fuck your bitch. That's what that means.
So it is a massive back photo, and I'm assuming your lat pull down is like 315, and the deadlift is somewhere in the fives. When you work out, do you what do you train? Do you train like power lift? Do you train strength? You just train to like
I
pick up
do.
big
The thing is, I do a little bit of everything, because if you stick to one, then your body will like never evolve, if you will. So part of my workout routine is I take whatever I think is a weak part of my body. Like if I decide my back needs to, then what I do is I set up the first thing that I do in my workout, 10 sets of 10 of whatever the heaviest, most grueling sort of thing is, to make that muscle just really kind of feel it and start to pop. And I've done that with different body parts over the years. And then from there are times when I go heavy, there's times when I go light. Just I do it based on feeling. If I'm working out heavy and my muscles aren't really engaging and I'm not getting tired, then time to go light and just do more reps or something like that. I try to just change things up all the time so that I'm not stuck. I don't like to plateau, like I like to be able to fight through any kind of plateaus and just eat a lot of protein, work out a lot.
The 10 sets of 10, just in general, I feel like that can be rough. Just and that's your first workout. That's not, I guess that's your first. But then you have other stuff. Like if you just do legs, then you do.
Yeah, for my back. For one of the things I'm doing with my back right now is every workout I start off and I do 10 sets of 10 pull-ups. So what I do is I get up there and I pull, and then all the way up, because I want my lats to stretch, and then pull down, and you do it over and over again. You do 10, and then I rest for 1 minute, and then I do 10 more, and I rest for 1 minute, and I do 10 more. And then towards the end, you might have to do like an 11th set. It might not be 10 for 10 because you might get a little bit tired. So if I do 8 or 9, then I just owe myself 3 or 4 more on the 11th set.
I feel you. So when you said you like to mix it up and do everything. Do you do any martial arts?
No, I do not. I boxed when I was a kid, but that was it. No martial arts.
So there's a post you made the other day. It says, if they offer you 3 Bitcoin to clean a cemetery from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. for 1 year, are you taking the job? And I probably would not, because like, God forbid, if my punches can't hit them, they go through the ghost. But you are assume you could throw around hundreds of pounds without feeling much. Would you take that job? I feel like if it was, because ghosts you can't really hit or clean, but if there's any like unsavory people there, I'm sure you could defend themselves. But would you take the job?
I would take the job immediately. And I have spent my entire life without ever running into, accidentally or on purpose, a ghost. So I am not I'm not worried about some kind of superstitious sort of being or cannibalistic cadaver coming after me. I'm not really worried about those kind of things. So when I did that was the joke, because we had been watching some stupid horror movies. Like we watch a lot of horror movies around me. So it was just one of those things where like I was thinking about it and I was like, would you take that job? And then I would start asking everybody that I knew, like, would you take that job? And the next thing I know, I'm posting it on Twitter. Like, you know what? I wonder if anybody would take that job, because I would. Like, my ass would be doing it immediately.
So you said you weren't worried, but you didn't say that you didn't believe in them. Is there a part of you that thinks that they might be real, or some entities or supernatural stuff? There might be something to it.
There's no part of me that believes that. I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe in ghosts.
No,
I don't believe in. I mean, so well, let me rephrase that. I guess I mean, obviously, there's more life in the universe than just humanity, or most probably, if we can have millions of different types of life on our single planet, then there has to be millions and billions of types of life everywhere. But
So,
it probably takes a lot to advance as a society if we take religion out of the mix and we just assume that we evolved from 20, 30 different sort of evolutionary sort of species along the way. If we just take that into account, then there's a lot of planets where that fails, but there's probably other planets where it succeeds. And here we are. How long we've been around? 150,000 years, 6,000 if you read the Bible, but 150,000 years or 132,000, whatever period of time it is. And to this point, we can barely get into the sky, and we certainly haven't gone to another planet yet. And we can say we sent a probe there, but we didn't send people there. So we're not intergalactic in any way. And I mean, I think the same thing happens we experience the same thing that other species would as aliens. So I don't think there's any reason that we would look. I don't think we're going to be, we're not going to be alone, but they're certainly not coming here, checking us out, trying to become lizard people and overtake our government and, wild shit that people always, conspiracies. We're not those people.
Yeah, I would like to think. So I would like to think I've never seen a Bigfoot or like a Mothman or like a Loch Ness monster. I want to believe though. I want them to be real. And I feel like that I let my bias get the better of me. Be like, well, there's no proof that it doesn't exist. I know that's a weak argument. For aliens, from what I have read online, the consensus is that humans would be too like ghetto, and they're just like, oh, stay away from that planet. That planet's all types of messed up. You see how they break the sound barrier? That is such a ghetto way. They burn fuel and they do all this stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, I could see that. That would make sense.
No, I think that it would be my opinion. Like if there was a superior race, part of the way that you become, unfortunately, is through terroristic stuff. I mean, if you look at how humans have evolved, we've taken other humans, we've enslaved other humans, we've enslaved animals, we enslave everything that we can in order to further our species. And I would think that any kind of alien would probably be doing the same thing. So if they got here and they came here and they had the power and resources to quickly just knock us out, then, we would be enslaved in a heartbeat. We are a working group of people that can build and do whatever. So if there was some kind of alien out there looking for something, they would find us and they would put us to work. So that's why I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any aliens that we're going to see.
That would make sense. So the genetic evidence for us, so the slavery and all that, that's not just a recent thing. No. In the last couple thousand years. But you know what Uncanny Valley is?
Uncanny Valley, no.
It's when you see a person and it almost doesn't look like a person. Like they have it with a lot of AI robots, where it gives you that uneasy feel because it looks like a person, but it's not. And the reason why we get that is because supposedly somewhere down in our lineage there was something that looked like us, and obviously we know that there were hominids and other types of Homo species that are similar to us. Yeah, and that's why it's wild.
Yeah, anyway, most people I know look like a homunculus anyway.
I don't know what a homunculus is. I would have I would love to see like again like a Bigfoot, or I would love to see something like that. If I could travel back in time, that's what I would do. I'd love to get those like Gigantopithecus.
It would be my estimation. Again, it's just estimation. Not, I wouldn't have any proof one way or another, but it would be my estimation that no such thing as Bigfoot, but there's probably been something kind of close to it. You know, something like a bear, because if you just consider the amount of abnormality that creates a human out of whatever, the one thing that people don't seem to understand because we're vain as animals and people is that in order for, put it this way, your little, you have a dog?
Yes.
What kind of dog do you have?
A little black pug.
A little black pug. Okay, that was a fucking wolf at some point.
I know. I've seen
It
the
has been bastardized, inbred, and destroyed. Its bloodline has been diluted such that only the aberrations were bred with other aberrations. The same thing happened in humanity. I mean, if we just assume that we came, and probably not from a chimpanzee, even though I think that's probably the closest thing to humans. If we didn't come from a chimpanzee, we came from something that's extinct, that evolved away from that. You know, maybe we all came originally from that single monkey of some sort, but it probably, you know, we in our tribe started sleeping with our own family and relatives, and that created a bastardized sort of creature, which, you know, eventually became Homo sapien. But there's also those, what are they called? The Australasians or something like that. There's
the Aboriginals.
The Aborigines. But here's the thing: in Australia, the Aborigine tribe has a specific DNA, and the only other place that DNA has been found is in South America, along like the Chilean coast. If you go look it up, I think they're called Australasian. It's very, very new. It's something that, like, you know, Graham Norton or Graham, whatever, that guy that does a lot of this kind of stuff. Like they found that DNA only exists in two spots. It's in the Aborigine tribes. And by the way, 10,000, 11,000 years ago is where this all comes from. And that this very specific group of DNA is it's native to the Aborigine in Australia, but there's proof that these old tribes that we've only made contact with in the last 20 or 30 years that are sitting out there in the backwoods of South America doing like bloop, bloop, and all that kind of shit, and shooting like arrows at planes that fly by. Those people also have that same DNA. It's the only places that they're found.
How do you think they have the same DNA and they're thousands of miles apart? Do you think that land bridge or boat?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? As a matter of fact, part of the I don't remember what that's called, but it's somewhere here in Bermuda Triangle. There's like a walkway underwater.
Huh.
There's you'll have to look at, because I'm not an expert on all this, but there's a bridge, or it looks like a bridge. At some point, the ocean had receded a little bit, and there's like a walkway or a path that is in like the Bermuda Triangle region, and you can walk, you know, that if the water drained out, it's rocks, you could walk on it. And there's a lot of old, like, I think it's called the Peru maps from like 1513. I think it's Turkey or something like that. This guy, before the Library of Alexandria was destroyed, this guy went to the Library of Alexandria. He took out all these old maps, and he started creating maps of the world before we could go around the world and find, you know, at this point, we didn't even know the United States existed. At best, we had the rumors that a guy named Amerigo Vespucci from, I want to say Italy, stumbled across it and didn't know what it was, thinking that it was the Far East or something like that, and knowing that it wasn't. So they had nothing to go on other than these old maps. Well, these old maps are pretty accurate. Like they really kind of lay out the way the world looked if you look at this map from 500 and something years ago. And so at best, I would grant this. I think that humans were 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 years ago. I think humans, or something close to humans, Homo sapien of some sort, were probably really evolved in some way. And maybe we didn't have digital technology, but they were pretty advanced. And something like that great flood that they talk about in the Bible, we should have reason to believe or reason to know that the Bible and all the mysticism that's in it is probably not real, but that some of the world events that we could verify most certainly should be, because they recur in lots of different texts. The great flood shows up not just in biblical texts, but it shows up in ancient Roman texts, it shows up in ancient Greek texts, it shows up in Turkish mythology, it shows up in Egyptian mythology. There was a great flood at one point. So using that as the kind of spot, let's just say that I think that the world was wiped out at one point, and that maybe we were not quite to the Iron Age, but we were certainly far past the Stone Age. You know what I mean? Or we were about to break out of the Stone Age. Maybe we were making advances. I mean, you consider not the technology, not the power, but the sheer technology and ability to build something like the Egyptian pyramids, or even the Peruvian pyramids. When you look at all of these pyramids that are around the world, that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and that's where we enslave a lot of people, and that's where we've used backbreaking labor and stuff like that. But there's also some ingenuity that comes from all of these different things. And I think there was a guy who did the only way that you can build, if you really kind of start to break this down, like, how do you build a pyramid? How do you get the rocks up to the top? That's the question. Like, how the fuck are you going to do that when you don't have wheels, when you don't have a piston to push, you don't have any of these things? How do you do that? And a guy came up with this premise because he was looking at it, and he was like, well, I would build like a tunnel that would go up around it and slowly go up and slowly go up and slowly go up and around and around and around, so that when you took your stuff, you would have like logs, and then you would just have backbreaking people pushing it up, and they would be pushing it up, going in between the logs, and they would push and push and push. And it turns out they all have those. So he solved like where you can actually, how a pyramid was built, and there's some weird stuff about it. But ultimately, it's all that backbreaking labor and shit like that. That's the easy part. But that ingenuity existed, and I think that it got wiped out. Somebody in your comment section is talking about Atlantis, and there is a real distinct possibility that and by the way, when we think technologically advanced, don't think don't think about today's kind of cities, just whatever you would think was technically advanced for that time. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't building computers, everything was still being built out of rock, but it would be a pretty advanced society compared to what we have otherwise seen, and it's just buried underwater now.
Yeah, there's those maps that you were talking about. Yeah. I don't know if these are the same maps that I'm thinking of, but I've seen some maps, and they're possibly from a different place, but I know they were before the time, like, hey, nobody was sailing at this time, nobody's sailing the world, but it was accurate. And they also had drawings of stuff and animals and beings in Antarctica as well.
Yes.
And, that's the same ones. Okay.
Well, not exactly. These are called the Pyrrha-Rees maps of 1513. And when you let me see here. Yeah, here we go. 1513. So this is a map from 1513. Let me share it, because when you look at it, you'll be like, holy shit. Let's put it over here.
What up, Bill Gardner? Oh, okay. I see it, and I'm adding it to the stage. Okay.
So these maps, this map was made in 1500, in the years 1500. They knew what this world looked like. I mean, you look at this and you see that the center of our world, you see the Mediterranean, you see Italy, you see Greece, you see Egypt, you see South America, you see all of Africa. You see that there's something over there with greenery where Brazil and South America are. You look around, you see this. They know what the world looked like from all these old maps. So this is not a guy who visited the world. This is not a guy who traveled a lot. This was a guy who was interested in maps, that did visit the Library of Alexandria, and he drew this based on what those maps said. This was their idea of what the world looked like as a globe when they understood that it was a globe. And you can see that it's not accurate, but there you understand what it's doing. You see, like right in the center, that's the Mediterranean. There's Africa down here. These are the European countries, those big bodies of water right there. Well, Dead Sea over here. So, there's all these different spaces, and you look right here and you can see, like, is it Colombia or Brazil? Brazil, right here. Like, they know it exists. They just don't know, that straight down below South Africa. They don't know that exists. They haven't been there. They think it's just one big landmass. You know what I mean? Like, and when you look at these, you get this idea, like, they know, like, these guys, somebody somewhere, and this right here was drawn in 1503.
Damn.
And this just maps, it looks like, boy, this is actually tough.
Is that a hippo or an elephant in the back? I think I see
those
a lion.
Are elephants. Those are elephants right there.
What's the one beyond that?
That's probably going to be India. So
okay,
we're probably looking at India right here. You know what I mean? In 1500, these guys had these maps of all these different places. So all of this stuff, they were, like that. Somebody out there had traveled the worlds, and they had gathered this data. We just imagine this. Imagine if something happens to us tomorrow. Imagine a meteor hits the Marianas Trench, and it's a big one, and it causes worldwide flooding to the point that if you're not sitting on a mountain, you're gone, right? And it will recede like everything else. It will eventually recede over, a couple of years. So everything dies over a couple of years. What's left? Because the sea will turn everything to sand. Everything that's left over will get run over and eventually become absorbed by the earth. And we have a lot of technology. Nothing that we do here would be remembered 10,000 years from now by whatever replaces us or the people that are living on the mountain. All we would have would be the legends and stories. So I think that's what happened. I think that, a lot of people died, and a lot of people were, I think we were maybe 10,000 years ago, we were about to exit the Stone Age, or I guess probably the Gilded Age of some sort. And we were probably getting ready to move on, and the world got wiped out, and we had to start over, and we lost a few thousand years. And only the people that were on the mountains were the ones that made it.
I wonder what would be, because I saw this documentary once that said, like, if humans were just to disappear, how soon would the earth reclaim itself? And it wasn't that long. Like, their estimations was that New York City would all be like grass and vines and trees again in like under 30 years.
Yeah, 27 years. Yeah.
It's wild.
That's a guess. I think we're all guessing. And if with AI and with the fact that you can actually program this stuff in, and you could say, well, how long would it take for deterioration of road? How long would it take for the deterioration of a building that's unattended? How long would it take for, all of this stuff to just kind of grow back and to grind it to dust would probably be 1,000 years, but to really just kind of grow up and eat it all up and turn it into something from Thundar the Barbarian, 27 years, and it would all be just wiped out.
I wonder if there was a way that if there were aliens and they see us after we all disappeared, and it was like, oh, we know this technology, it's like whatever, and they're able to find what we did on computers and what we did on the internet. I wonder which stuff they would Like, would they think that Skibbity Toilet is like a religion? Or would they think that like Pokemon is like a religion? I mean, I guess they did have that Church of Helix. But I wonder how they would differentiate. Like, if we look at cave drawings, how much of that is actually like stuff that they're trying to tell and be remembered by, and how much of that is just like, is this funny?
Probably a lot more than if you can just imagine, they would have different language, they would have different ways, they would have different mannerisms, they wouldn't understand. So as they started to learn and figure out all of those things that went with it, they would probably see something like the Super Bowl. You know, they would look at the Super Bowl and they would say they had gladiator combat and they let each other live. You know what I mean? Like they had gladiator combat and they played point games. And that was their religion. And most people tuned into it. You know what I mean? They would be looking at something like a World Series and be like, they used to hit a ball with a stick. You know what I mean? Like they would look at these weird things that we do to keep ourselves entertained. And some of them would mistaken. If you can just consider this, like we don't have any information, so all we can do is guess. They would be doing the same thing. They would just be guessing. And like we look at all of our stuff and we just guess. Like we don't have it right. So I don't think they would either.
I wonder how they would view, I think the Grammys were like last night or 2 nights ago. I wonder how they would view that. Because you have it's like an awards where people are dressed up in these weird clothes and they're all kind of good looking and they all I assume there's some performances at the Grammys too. I didn't watch it. Are there?
They're only good looking to people who like that kind of stuff.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like when they look at it, they wouldn't think of it as good looking. They would think
That's true.
These aliens are wearing this, you know, these aliens are wearing their garb and they're celebrating their music.
Yeah. I don't know how they made a joke about it in Men in Black 1 or 2, where like Frank the Pug is talking to like Will Smith. He's like, "Oh, she's not even my species, and I'm attracted." And then I know like that's a joke, but I feel like we were talking about dogs before. Like, there's some good looking dogs, and there's some dogs that are just like, "Bro, you look rough, man." So I feel like maybe aliens would be able to, or any other being would be able to kind of say like, okay, what they're viewing, whether it's high cheekbones or long healthy hair or something like that, would be, or straight teeth. I do not have any of that. I wonder if they'd be able to discern which ones are good looking, which ones aren't.
They may not even. So, I mean, if you were an alien coming to Earth and you looked around and you saw that there's just all these things crawling on, or they're building, right? But what if you're aquatic? What if you were literally part lizard? What if you needed water to survive? You know, would you just stay away from the land and go straight to the ocean? And then would you think that the dolphins were in charge? Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have
water.
if you don't have context and all you have is you're just landing on a planet that's been decimated, then what is the apex predator? What is the apex animal? You know what I mean? Like there's probably aliens could visit, or Earth could be wiped out for humanity to the point that we are back in caves through some kind of catastrophic event. And then aliens could show up and what do they don't know any of what we know right now. They you know what I mean? Like there's a guy by the name of Nate Bargatze. He's a comedian and he's from Tennessee. And the reason I bring him up is because I used to work with his grandmother back in the old days. I got my first job with his grandmother. I didn't know that at the time, but it just turned out that we're from the same area. So he says, if I went back in time, I wouldn't be able to make a difference. Like, imagine okay, you go back in time and you go back to 1885.
Can I be white?
Yeah, you can be whatever color you want.
Okay, cool.
But you go back to 1885. What are you gonna how are you gonna prove you're from the future?
Assuming that I don't have any technology, like I don't have like a cell phone to show them. I guess they would just think that, okay, your clothes are a little funky, your hair's I could probably, depending on who's all right. So we're in
What would you
post-Civil
be able to?
War.
What would you be able to? What would you be able to teach them that would advance their skills such that you could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt you're from the future?
I don't believe I am smart enough to be able to, like, I could tell them what, like, I couldn't. I even like I don't know how they disperse books back. Like
Yeah,
I
hey
don't know
man,
how
one
printing
day
press works.
all of the music that you're listening to is going to be on this little device, and
Yeah.
then you're just going to keep it in your pocket, and it's going to be like a computer, and they're going to be like, "What the fuck is a computer? What the fuck does that mean?" And you're
Yeah.
going to be like, "Well, it's like a it's like a it's like a digital book," and they're going to be like, "What the fuck is digital?"
Yeah.
And then you're going to explain it to them, and then they're going to be like, "Well, how do you make it?" And you're going to be like,
Yeah.
"Well, that's the end of this TED talk."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I'd have
like
to,
we wouldn't be able to make a difference. You know what I mean? So using the same kind of logic, if something catastrophic happened, how would they even know that humans were the predominant species here? Maybe they would come, they would look, and they'd be like, "Ooh, whales are pretty big. We like those." You know? I mean, what if spiders, what if arachnids were the species that level up on another planet?
oh, like if they could become like conscious and they can have like some type of written language or something like that.
Well, we assume written because that's the way we would do it.
Yeah.
But if they have interstellar travel, then you would probably assume at that point that they're no longer even using books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That
They
would,
could probably just transfer knowledge.
right.
Arachnophobias would be super scared. I don't know. Would they? I mean, they're probably really big, so I would be hella scared. All them eyes, all them claws, all them. Um, oh yeah, Admiral Byrd. I don't know how I'd react. I mean, I'd like to think that if we could somehow communicate, and I've noticed this with like charades or like I don't know if you ever seen Kyle XY, where he like kind of doesn't
Yeah.
know how to talk yet. Freaking love that show. And he looks at Steven as like a master communicator because he goes to Kyle's like, no, you don't want to touch that, and like from that, like you don't need to speak a language. You just need to know that is hot, it's gonna burn. I feel like I could do that with aliens on like, oh, like KFC. It's all right, that's a bad example. Duck. And then I would take like a duck and I just, oh, on water, quack quack. I feel like I could do something like that. But yeah, as far as
Yeah, but it's
communication.
weird to think like, we could go back in time and like we wouldn't even make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, like what the fuck what we teach them? What are we going to teach people? And then how are we going to teach them to make it? You know what I mean? So,
I mean, the only thing that I could think of would be like a Back to the Future type scenario where you know what's going to happen, who's going to get elected, and be like, hey, if I'm like an 85, in like 20 years, this really weird bird flu is going to come in, and we're all like everyone mask up, everyone do like all this, and maybe you could like save lives in that way. Or when were condoms invented? Um, I feel like I could. I wouldn't know how to make them, but I that design of like, hey, contraception, and this is how you boink without having babies, and but yeah, just future things that I know would happen. I could like bet on. I don't know. Vegas wasn't invented yet, but I know there's people that would take those bets. Um, yeah. As
but
far
it's
as a
wild.
job
Like
though,
I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be able to tell. I'd be like, who's the president now? You know
85.
what I mean? Like you would have to wait until if you didn't come during an election year, maybe they wouldn't even know. A lot of people
Yeah.
probably wouldn't even know. At best, I would be like, well, so it's 1885. So listen, you're gonna have to wait 3 years, and we're gonna have to go to Lincoln County in New Mexico. But there's gonna be a guy here named William Bonney. People are gonna call him Billy the Kid. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the best I could do is take the plot of Young Guns and tell them, hey, this is what's going to end up happening here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that, like it's the best I would have.
Yeah. Or maybe become like a traveling poker player, because they were probably not that good at poker back in the day. I feel like nowadays that's that game has been, or maybe like introduce some type of boxing or ultimate fighting. And again, that's not going to help with human survival. It's just going to be like entertainment stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be complicated. And I mean, I feel the same way with, I mean, again, I feel the same way with like aliens. Like, I don't think they would know who the predominant species is if something catastrophic happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or because of,
or that we've done this shit before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What it's going to be absolutely, it would be the ultimate in insanity if we were to dig into something and find a cave somewhere or find a something somewhere and then find real technology that people would be like, oh my God, that really happened. You know, it would change. As a matter of fact, it may have even happened and we don't know about it, but you know, that it would absolutely change dynamically the way that we consider everything.
I think there was, I forget, of some type of archaeologists in like California, like 30 years ago, had the theory that some certain dinosaur, some certain thing was like in the US when it like wasn't, or was in some period where it shouldn't have been in. And all the other archaeologists just like, hey, this is going to disrupt everything. They're going to shun you. You're going to like, your career is going to be gone. And the dude had to stay silent for like 30 years or something. And
But he ended up being
I don't know what it was, but I know it finally came out.
Yeah, I remember the context of that, so I know that I know that I'm at least familiar with something like that having happened, but I don't remember who it was or what the situation was. But yes, it throws a complete monkey wrench into your whole thought process.
Great. I hope that they would be able to understand blockchain and be able to understand like, hey, these little pieces of art on this weird technology. I wonder why they did that. And obviously it starts off with like crypto punks and crypto kitties and just weird stuff. And then it becomes a super useful technology. One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, so we'll wait for Debbie to the end. We both like meme coins. They are now collectibles, or they're not officially collectibles. That legislation hasn't been passed yet, but it looks like any and all meme coins will be collectibles. It looks like any and all rug pulls might be like legal. So I have we'll go over the ones that you like. Which ones have done well for you? I know you had Trump. I don't know if you still have that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm still holding on a bag of Trump. Like, I think Trump is going to be the one that goes to 100 billion first. I think that the narrative and I think that Doge will put up a fight. I think that Pepe will put up a fight. I think that Shib will want to put up a fight, but I don't think that any of them have the legs that a Trump meme coin has. So I think that the Trump meme coin will be the one that goes to 100 billion first. I think Doge then follows and goes to 100 billion. And I think the rest get kind of close, but don't actually get there.
Yeah.
So that would be my estimation.
So that would be around the 30-ish X from right now for Trump. It'd only be around the 3X for Doge. What do you think the catalyst is to get Trump to move that much before Doge does the 3X?
Well, so I'll put it this way. Let me go back and do this. Within 3 days, Trump passed Pepe for market cap. It only took 3 days.
I thought it took less than that. I remember it came out at like a multi-billion dollar.
Right. Yeah. But it took 3 days because it launched on Friday, and on Sunday it hit $78.35. So that period of time might have been 48 hours, but you know, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, that's where it hit $78. It's got a 14 billion market cap. Pepe had like an 11 billion market cap. Like, it beats it in 3 days. So let's just take a step back and say, well, it took Pepe a year and a half to get to 11 billion. It took Trump 3 days to get to 14 billion. What do you mean it's not going to be the first one? Like, it's the one that has and the other thing is, it's narrative. It's Donald Trump is the guy that, whether you like him or not, he is the guy that supports crypto and that believes that crypto is the future. And Again, even if you don't like him, you recognize, or you should be able to recognize that he recognizes that America is screwing crypto up, and it needs to stop screwing crypto up because it's better for everybody involved if the United States is at the forefront of it. So he sees that, he recognizes that. So why would you put your money in Doge? Why would you put your money in Pepe? Why wouldn't you put your money in Trump and allow? And I don't even know that he has to do very much, because we're at February 4 right now. The bull run is here. Any moment now, we're going to start seeing just, ridiculous shit's going to start happening in this market.
Alt season, baby.
Yeah, we probably have 2 weeks right now for a big Bitcoin pump, that causes a cascade, and Ethereum really needs 4,000, and it really needs 5,000, because if we want an altcoin season, Ethereum has to pop. That's the way that it's always worked. It's the way it always will work. So we need 124,000 Bitcoin. We need a 5,000 Ethereum. We need a 350 to 400 Solana, and then we will get just an incredible altcoin season.
Historically, Bitcoin for February has been positive, I think 11 out of 14 Februaries. Probably. And it's always been positive on a odd year. And the low of it's average, I think, a 20% gain, and the low is usually by like the 6th. I think 4 times the low was on the 1st, and I think once it was on the 2nd. So if we just go historically, and obviously that doesn't necessarily mean that the same thing's going to happen, but again, on average, if you do a 20% gain, Bitcoin goes up to 120-ish, give or take. And then again, alt season, you shared that thing from Jake Geigen the other day, where like February was like just the beginning in 2017, 21, and now 25. So it hopefully cascades there.
Yeah, the average gain in February is 14% since 2013. The median is 12.21. This year, we're down 4% right now. We're down 4% in February, but in 2021, which is the accumulative, that's the comparable bull run area, we went up 36.78%. In 2017, we went up 23%. And in 2013, we went up 61.7%. And then in March, during the same time, we went up another 30% in 2021. In 2017, went down 9%. And then in 2013, went up 172%. So what I would think is we're probably going to get 20% or better for this month, and then 20 to 30% for next month.
So let's say we go to 120, then another 20%, that'd be 144. That'd be nice by the end of March if we did that.
Yeah, I think 125, as long as we get the most important part for the market, if we want altcoin season, I think, it's my opinion, is getting Ethereum to 5,000. That's what matters more than anything else. And in order for that to happen, Bitcoin's going to have to pump. So, we are stuck. No matter what, we're stuck waiting for Bitcoin to do its thing. Bitcoin still eats first, but Ethereum has starved for the last little while. So it needs an impetus. Now, the other thing to that is, if nobody's paying attention, Petra, the new Ethereum upgrade, is scheduled for March. So
that's more gas that's allowed, right?
The last time nobody understood the God damn it, now I can't remember what it was called. The Denkun, when Denkun came out. Because that was Denab and Cancun that they ended up just combining it and called it Denkun. And it ended up reducing gas fees exponentially. Look how much you pay for gas now versus how much you were paying in 2020.
Dude, it was like hundreds of dollars. That was right. Nuts when things went. Yeah.
And now it's not like that anymore. So they fixed gas fees. Well, they're about to do it again. They're about to fix it even more. There is an imperative that they are sensing and feeling right now that if they don't fix their screw ups and they don't get their act together, they are losing market share. Not only are they losing it to their layer 2s, which is their focus, by the way. They're worried about the layer 2s, but they're losing it to Solana. today, or yesterday really, was the first day in a long time that we've actually seen Ethereum, not the whole ecosystem with the layer twos, but just Ethereum by itself, be close to Solana. They both had, I want to say, near $8 billion in transactions yesterday. And that's, I mean, that's a lot. That's Ethereum usually does 2 to 3 billion at maximum, maybe 4 billion on a good day. So to see 7 billion meant there was a huge amount of volume, but people were paying attention to Ethereum again. So that might mean that, you know, we'll start to get that run. I think that, you know, I think Eric Trump's talking about it.
Yeah, like yesterday, he had said now might be a good time to buy Ethereum.
Right.
And I think so. Part of I don't know how much people are paying attention versus how much it is manipulation. Because when you had that tariff scare, you know, I think XRP went from like $3 to like $2, and then back up to 287, and the volume on that was over $38 billion.
Yeah.
And I know retail can spend a lot, but I don't think there's any way that was even half like retail. I'm going to say most of that 38 billion plus was probably institutions. Probably the same thing with Bitcoin. I feel like or not Bitcoin, or well, I guess Bitcoin as well. Most of everything I think has been institutions so far.
Yeah, I think something that everybody here should know, that I assume they already know, but just in case you're just learning about crypto and you're just tuning in, you're just figuring it out. Crypto is one of the most manipulated high risk assets that you have ever experienced or will ever experience. An institution takes advantage of news in order to dip the markets, to cause you to scare yourself out of your position so that they can then buy it cheaper, and then you end up buying back in at a higher price. That's the goal when you see these, you know, what you would call a black swan event. Now, Trump threatens 25% tariffs, one against Mexico, one against Canada, and then a 10% tariff against China. Is that a reason to dump $500 billion out of a risk asset? No, it is not. That's stupid. And you're not stupid, and they're not stupid. So what's happening is they're creating something that is newsworthy, that would spook people, so that the babies up here at the top, those are the we call them Jeets as degens, you know. So you got those people right there, they're immediately going to sell. That's going to dunk on the price. So that motivates other people to say, hey, I'm at the top of this move right now. Maybe it's time for me to sell. We're not going to break out at this point. And what happened was they went after it. And if you look at, if you don't use CoinGlass, you should use CoinGlass. They have a chart that it's a liquidation heat map, and it allows you to look and see like exactly where money is. You can see where, you know, by symbol, where a crypto has its assets mostly laid out and parked, and you can make a reasonable estimate about what is going to happen next. So, you know, if you know where the money is, and you know what a Fibonacci does, you know what your range is. You know, if you're range bound, like we've been range bound since what the fuck is this? November. We've been range bound between 91,000 and like 108, and we just go up and down, back and forth between every single time. One time we dipped down to 89, buy opportunity of a lifetime. I bought huge right then, rode it up to 100. I sold it 105 because I wasn't about to get, you know, I wasn't about to go to pass out and go to sleep and fuck that up. So I went ahead and took the profit at 105, but it ended up going to 109,354.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if by the way, I don't worry about missing tops. I worry about making profits. You know what I mean? Like I don't give a shit. So I have a little box here, and if I have a buy order set right now at 92,000 for Bitcoin, just in case we get an opportunity for it to dip a little bit more, and it comes back down. Now, if it never fills, I don't care. I have plenty of crypto. So
did that fill the other day for you?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have that? Did you take that profit? Did you happen to sell, or be like, Nah, it has to get to like 108 for me to
I took
sell.
it at 95.5. I barely made anything off of it.
Okay.
That for me, I wasn't sure whether or not we were going to dump even more or
Yeah.
not. And when I set it up, I'd actually normally what I do is 5 or 10x leverage so that I have plenty of room to play with just in case. But on this one, I'd accidentally hit 20x.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck that. I am not holding on to that for an extended period of time. So it hit 95.5 and I took the profit. And then the next thing I know, it runs up to, where did it go yesterday? 102,000 almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the top. I'm just worried about the profit. If I can make a profit, then, and by the way, if you are like me and you're looking at that range, there is a, let me share this again for anybody if you do any trading, then this is a box that you probably need to know about. Bitcoin trades right now in this range, and you see over and over and over again, bang, 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 bang. It hits this bottom every single time, and we get a very, very strong bounce off of it. So buy here, sell when it goes up here. Doesn't always go up like this right here. Only went up about halfway, came back down. Then it went up, came back down. Then it went all the way up and fulfilled that move. So you have to pay attention to it. But ultimately, what I think is if you get down here, buy. Now, the other part is you would want to sell when it comes up here. I'm not selling. I'm not shorting right now because I know too many people, too many friends of mine who are getting just absolutely annihilated by shorting this market. This is a bull market. So shorting in a bull market is just kind of dumb. It's a risky thing that, right now is okay. After February, after today, or maybe tomorrow, day after, shorting is just going to be something that you do on scalp or a quick swing. Like you do not long-term hodl something from where we are right now in a short fashion. So what you're looking for is if it comes up here, there's two things going to happen. Like if it doesn't break out, it's going to break back down and it will come back down here, buy down here, let it ride back up here. But at some point it's going to break out like this. Then it's going to break out to here. Then it's going to break out and keep going. Like that's what's going to happen. So there's no reason for you to short anything at this point.
It has been I think the narrative has been memes for quite a long time now. When we go and we talk about it's memes, like you have Trump, I have this thing called the cat, and there's I don't know, like 1 million meme coins made each month. At some point, that narrative is going to end, and then we go to either AI, we go to NFTs, we go to whatever it is that we go to. What do you think? How do you think it ends, and what do you think the next narrative is going to take place of the memes?
I think that AI. Okay, so first of all, there's a lot of different narratives that we've had that are just bullshit. Okay, gaming as a crypto narrative is bullshit. I like the fact that gaming is interested in crypto. I like the fact that you can create a game, add it to the blockchain, and create something. But let me just ask a very simple question: do you have any gaming tokens that you're a fan of?
Fias.
All right. Now, that one has a use case because it's the gas that will run the DEVVE gaming ecosystem, right? But what about, do you have any games?
Off the grid.
Okay, so what does the off the grid token do? How does it earn money?
You have a bionic arms and legs that are NFTs.
How does the game earn money? How does the game survive?
I am not 100% sure. I assume they take sales from the NFTs, from the stuff that gets bought and sold.
Right. How much is that though? I mean, that's the point. There's no money being made in gaming for crypto. And when you make it NFTs, and that is true, by the way, NFTs in gaming are that future that we would be talking about. But, if you just, I don't know if you're familiar with Team Fortress or Team Fortress 2, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's basically a game where you just go in and it's, player versus player, right? One side versus the other side. The winner, you get stuff like hats and stuff to distinguish yourself from other people, right? Those hats, those clothing, stuff like that, those could be NFTs for all anybody cares.
yeah.
But unless they have stats or anything like that, or unless they're incredibly rare and valuable, like unless they're rare, there's no value to it. So they don't generate any money. You have to have money to survive. And the thing that people forget about in cryptocurrency is most of these things, they don't do anything. They have no function, no purpose, no use. I mean, how do they generate money so that the company can continue to do business where they're not taking it from you? Because here's the thing to remember. Let's just say that you and I launch a meme coin that has a game attached to it, right? Unless people buy that game, how are we making money? We're making money by taking money and selling tokens in order to continue to fund my salary, your salary, and whatever we need to build in the game. Basically, all we're doing is taking the money from the investors and using it to make the game better. But in making the game better, are we generating revenue? If we're not generating revenue, what the fuck are we doing?
I'm not 100% sure how Illuvium or Axie Infinities does it, but I know it is Illuvium more so than Axies. It is a little complicated as far as there's monsters or alluvials. There's like different types of land. There's different blind boxes that you can get. And the token does have a use case. I don't know how much money they make off of that, but it was a mother flapper last bull market. It was insane. It was.
That one in Sandbox, Axie Infinity and Sandbox.
Decentraland, any metaverse last year. I mean, again, that's another narrative. So you have the metaverse narrative. You do have blockchain gaming. And I'm not saying that things
let me give you this breakdown real quick. The entire Axie Infinity economy relies on players' willingness to spend real money on new Axies and SLP. Those are your healing potions, right? Nobody is paying anyone. Nobody is earning money. Players are just buying stuff, and that's how it's generated. Now, if you go with that and you say, yes, that's if I make a game and players buy stuff out of it, well, the players can't make money if they're buying stuff. They're sinking into the economy. So there is a trick here for these games, that the reason that I'm not bullish on games, and the reason that I've stayed kind of unbullish for 2 years now on gaming, is because I don't see how they generate money or enough money to survive, unless it's something like Axie Infinity and you go way up there. And by the way, Axie Infinity fucking sucks.
I've heard that is the most boring game that you could play.
Worst. Oh, it's horrible. It's just a horrible game. I would love to see. I would love to see something like a Grand Theft Auto or an MMO where, World of Warcraft, and your bazaar. I think this would be very cool. Again, you would have to be able to buy tokens, and selling your tokens in the game would be the way for the dev team to earn money off of it. So it still comes from
Earth
players. 2. Do what?
Have you heard of Earth 2?
Earth 2. That's a show?
No, it started off in November of 2020 as just this kind of a metaverse play. And what they did was, instead of raising money via like ICO and then using that to build the land, and then you pay to buy the land, what they did was they said, hey, we partnered with Mapbox and we made a 1-of-1 scale of Earth. And you could buy, everything started at 10 cents per tile. One tile is like 10 feet by 10 feet or 10 meters by 10 meters, whatever it is. And it's 10 cents per tile. And they started it as 10 cents in America, 10 cents in the ocean, 10 cents in Russia. By the time I got into the game in December of 2020, tokens in America were like, or tiles in America were like $1.50 or $2. but tokens in Brazil, Russia, like all these other places, were still like 10 or 11 cents. And then you got these referral codes, and the referral codes, if I were to give you one and you use my referral code, it still works. So link down below. If you spend $100 and buy these tiles from there, like I'll get 5% of that. I'll get $5 worth. So everyone was sharing the referral codes, and every time, if I had land in South America, in Peru, and you bought land in Peru, a small amount of that will go to the other landholders that are in that area, in that country. And they have a bazaar, so it's really complicated. It might be too complicated for people to like get mass adopted. But they have a bazaar where you get jewels every day. The jewels can be traded in the bazaar for like these different materials, depending on which land you get. You get those materials. People get ether. That ether can turn into essence, and that's the token. So everyone each day, they mine ether, and they transform that into essence, and that's their token. So you have to have land to do that, or you can buy these little droid things, and you could raid other people's land and steal their ether. So that's pretty fun. What did you Google? What did you?
I looked up Earth. I was looking at the game. I'll never play something like that. That's the thing. People are what they're trying to what everybody's done is they've made these very small, easy to play, bullshit games, and they don't have, they're not deep. They're not. They don't have an IP that people like resonate with. They're
not like Zelda, Mario, or
exactly.
Nintendo.
They don't have. But if Nintendo decided they were going hard into the blockchain, you can bet your ass they would generate money. Now, as far as sustainability for the projects, each project, ultimately, I don't know about that. Sony on PlayStation 6 is coming out with the Sonium blockchain, right? We know that Sonium has the Sonium blockchain for transacting, for you can have cryptocurrency in the Sonium system. The games will have cryptocurrency in some way, but here's the other part to remember: games have a shelf life. Once like Madden and sports and athletic games would be the perfect place for cryptocurrency, because we're all gamblers and we're all risk takers. So fighting games, gambling games, probably going to be something that you can, make a buck off of. But, ultimately you have to generate revenue. And we don't successfully in crypto generate a ton of revenue with gaming right now. We just don't. So that's why I'm not. So I think gaming is going to be like a dead. It will pop at some point, but it won't be. And I probably said this 2 years ago, because again, like I don't really talk about gaming too much, but I said 2 years ago that gaming will eventually, like, we'll find a way to make it, but it won't be you and me. It's going to be, Rockstar Games. Rockstar Games finds a way to monetize and use digital assets in Grand Theft Auto 6 or Red Dead Redemption 3 or whatever game they're coming out with. They'll find a way to do that. Sony will find a way with Sonium. Nintendo probably quietly has their own blockchain that they're working on. Same thing. And Ultima Online. You don't play Ultima on a regular server. Don't you play it on a free server? Ultima doesn't have their own servers anymore. So just like Star Wars Galaxies, just like Ultima, just like what is the other fucking EverQuest, just like everyone, they're all being played on private servers now. So yes, sure, it's fine to have those games, but again, they only have a short shelf life. A game with a big shelf life, Skyrim, been around for a long time. I'm not sure how you monetize it and make money off of it, but it's been around for a long time. What's another one that's been around for a long time? Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
That one's been around for a very long time. Okay, I play unofficial original servers. I've never even heard of Ultima Online still being active. So nobody gives a shit about that game. It's not making a bunch of money. Well, and no offense. I mean, by the way, I play Skyrim when I have spare time. It's a 15-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old game. Like I'm the same. I have my own game that I like to play. I
still play Pokemon.
Nice.
Like the OG.
I boot up Skyrim and I download a bunch of new quest mods and stuff like that, and I start a new game every once in a while where I just play for a while. You have money. You make money. People still make money on Nexus mods for playing Skyrim mods. I load in mods all the time. I load in mods all the time and play like new stuff. So I think I probably what do I have? I have a game right now on Skyrim, and like with the mods that I have loaded, it's basically just a bunch of quest mods. Like I don't care what the graphics look like. I'm not really, just a bunch of different quests, new stuff to do inside the game. I have Legacy of the Dragonborn. I have one called Clockwork. I have the College of Winterhold quest expansions. I have Dungeons Revisited. I have Forgotten Dungeons. I have Helgen Reborn. I have immersive world encounters, armors, dungeons, weapons. And then I have the Legacy of Dragonborn, the Moon Path of Elsewhere, Project Aho, AHO, Undeath SSE, Skyrim Zoo, Forgotten City, Grey Cowl of Nocturnal, Wheel of Lull. I have the unofficial Skyrim patch, and then I have Worm's Tooth. So basically all I have,
I love those games.
Yeah, basically all I have are just, something to just play new quests. But if they were going to charge me, I'd be like, fuck those. You know what I mean?
So basically thoughts are gaming will pop, but only because you have people that believe in it and they'll hodl, and it won't be like this huge narrative. It'll just be kind of a shortened one. Right. Do you think it's possible that instead of gaming being the narrative, that they maybe tag along to the NFT narrative that comes back because they have, okay, so that's why
the NFT is the narrative there. It's not the token, not in my opinion. The token is cool. Like, for example, how cool would it be? Just humor me here. You have copper, silver, and gold, I think, in World of Warcraft, right? Yeah. How cool would it be if copper, silver, and gold were 3 different cryptos, and over time you've been farming and you've been earning and earning and earning and earning, and now there's real world value to the gold that you have in that game? That would be very nice, right? Where you didn't have to remember back in the old days with World of Warcraft, you made a bunch of gold, you got a bunch of gold, you could go sell it on like eBay or something like that. Then you had to log into the game, you had to transfer it to somebody and shit like that. Well, if you had a game like Warcraft where every piece of armor and stuff that you had was an NFT, and you were able to sell that NFT on your bazaar, and you were using your copper, silver, and gold, then you've created an economy, and you could probably make it sustainable. But you would need that IP for World of Warcraft. I mean, the thing about World of Warcraft is it already had Warcraft 2, the Tides of whatever the fuck it was, and then you had Warcraft 3, and then you had what was it called? The Frozen Throne that came out right after Warcraft 3. You had a narrative, you had a story, you had a bunch of fans who were into it, and it took off from there. You got to have a reason for people to do stuff. You have to have a reason. You have to have an economy. So
how would you feel about something like Pudgy Penguins, where did fine as NFTs and breaking into the real world, kind of being partially in Web3, but then they have stuff in like Walmart, and people can pay cash for it, and then they airdrop the token. Do you think that the token, because there's kind of no reason for it to exist, that it kind of goes away? Or do you think that the mods and devs can like give it a reason to exist, and this way it could actually be one of like the great like top NFT tokens out there?
Pudgy Penguins was probably the exception to all of the rules that I'm talking about in crypto right now. Pudgy Penguins created cute penguins with their NFTs, and then they turned them into plushies, and they were cute. They had kind of an iconic look, and they became wildly popular with people who had nothing to do with crypto. Like that's where you got Pudgy Penguins did something right. And by the way, we don't know what their crypto is going to be at this point. Like we have no idea why that crypto exists ultimately, or what it will look like 2 or 3 years from now, what it's going to be used for. I know there is a Pudgy Penguin game coming. If it's integrated into that game, then sure. I mean, again, think about this. They're the only one. I mean, what other crypto are you buying plushies or pieces for, stuff like that? I mean, maybe you get a Bitcoin hat, you get a DEVVE hat. But you get, maybe you get a Bitcoin hat, maybe you get an Ethereum hat if you're a DGen or something like that. But other than that, or if you do your own stuff, like I have my own line of clothes and stuff like that. So, I just ordered a whole bunch of new hoodies and shit like that so that I'm always wearing my brand. But beyond that, Pudgy Penguin's the only people who've come out here and really done something. The ones that we thought were going to do it was Bored Ape. Bored Ape hasn't done shit. Pudgy Penguin sells more than Bored Ape. So, Pudgy Penguins did it right. But, I mean, that's the exception. Everything else is failing. I mean, when you look at gaming isn't shit, but it can all change. I mean, what you need is maturity in the market, and we're not mature in the market. The only thing in this market that's probably maturing is Bitcoin. Ethereum is not maturing. Solana is not maturing. They're both fucking degen bullshit. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, that's just the space in general. I've noticed that I made a decent amount of money in Pokemon cards, and in 2016 you had that first pop because Pokemon Go came out, and people were making money. They were excited, and then you had this buyer's market come in 2018 because you had a little bit of a bubble. And after Pokemon Go kind of faded away, people had all this product, they were selling. And then you had people that said, hey, this card that I bought for $100. Now it's only worth, 45. I want 2016 prices in 2018, and that just didn't happen. And then they kind of sold. And then in like 2020, where it got super hot again, you had all these people that were very salty in 2018 that had sold, 2019 that had sold. And you had these kids, myself included, that were buying up everything. That, like, there's a very small amount of us that were buying up all these first edition PSA 10 hollows. And I saw the immaturity in the market, and I was like, okay, this is going to end one day. And then I was wrong, because now it's like worse than ever. Now, like, the game has changed where everyone's like hopping over each other, fighting each other at Walmart, and they're trying to do these pack openings and their rippings. And every single time a new set comes out, I see people pay thousands of dollars for the brand new card, like not graded, or there's one that's graded, like, oh, it's a 1 of 1. Well, it's a 1 of 1 because the set is like 3 weeks old. And then eventually there's going to be like a 1 of 8, a 1 of 20, because there's so many. Clearly they're easy to grade. So I think it takes probably decades for it to mature. And crypto is just not there yet. And you mentioned DEVVE. I noticed this with DEVVE as well. You have a bunch of people that in 2021 they were just buying everything on DEVVE. They were buying the Omi token. They were buying all the stuff. And it's been a pretty rough bear market because the Omi token, and all the NFTs just got punished over the last few years. And a lot of people just don't really recognize those cycles. So as far as when you think that whatever the next narrative is, NFTs ran last time. Do you think that NFTs run last again, and we have to wait like 8 months, 9 months for it? Or do you think that might be one of the next ones that run?
So I think that NFTs aren't going. I think NFTs as we know them right now are dead, and I don't think they're coming back the same way that people thought before. Agreed. Because they were a novelty in the beginning, and they have no purpose and no reason to exist. And there's plenty of reasons for NFTs to be something. The ERC 721 protocol is actually one of your better smart contract protocols. It's something that everybody could use. Your driver's license could be an NFT. The deed for your house could be an NFT. Books, game, everything could be an NFT, right? And anything that you read, anything that you need, anything that identifies you could all be NFTs on a blockchain. So it has function and use, but at this point, it's profile picture. That's it. That's the summary of what it does. And in rare instances, it becomes something that you can use in a game, like in the game WAGMI. But when you zoom out and look at the gaming industry, it's got about a $14 billion market cap in a crypto market that has a 3.5 trillion market cap. The market cap for gaming right now, 14 billion. The number one gaming token is number 63 overall, and it's immutable. And immutable is not even a goddamn game. Immutable is just the token that runs a gasless transaction system that also struggles to make money because it's gasless. So the next one up at 900 million market cap is the Sandbox. Nobody fucking plays the Sandbox. Nobody
There's like
uses
30
the
people
Sandbox.
that play that each month.
Right. The next one up is Floki at 941 million market cap. And, Floki's done so many good things in the way that they've managed the bear market and the way that they've managed themselves since 2021. They've done a phenomenal job. So respect to them, but their game is stupid. Like, the game's not
I haven't
fun.
played it.
The Gala Games just has a bunch of dog shit games, and it's got an 800 million market cap. And then beyond that, it drops all the way down to 600, which is Ronin, and then 600, which is Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is down to 600 million market cap now. So, and Mana, Decentraland, 600 million market cap. Like, there's a lot of games out here that have decent market caps, but when we talk about real world assets, just go RWA. And when you look at RWA, Jesus Christ, the amount of money that's in RWA is phenomenal. The amount of money that's in DPIN is phenomenal. There's $70 billion in RWA right now, 5 times as much as gaming. And it's basically a startup. Chainlink has a $13 billion market cap right now after the dips that we've had for the last couple days. Avalanche has an $11 billion market cap. HBAR has a $10 billion market cap. RWA is the narrative that we should be paying attention to. The other one is DPIN, and that's the decentralized physical infrastructure networks. So those are the ones that are the narratives that will take over, and they're going to take over because the businesses who came to not fuck around, that want to make a bunch of money, that's where they're going to be. That's what they're going to do, because the only thing that they know is how to turn things that don't make money into things that make money, so they can make money off of those things. So they're buying up the things that matter: Chainlink, Avalanche, HBAR, Mantra, Ondo, VeChain, Algo, and eventually DEVVE. So
we'll get to that in 1 minute. So I want to go and say I agree with you that probably over 99.9% of NFT projects and stuff out there are trash. Because they're 2D JPEGs and their profile pictures. Even the stuff on VeVe, like I have these things called like little Cryptkins, where you have your Bigfoot, you have your Mothman, you have your all that. Like, I don't think those are really going to go anywhere. I got them because I love them and they're cool, and I could take pictures of them in AR. But most of the stuff, the only stuff that I think will do really well on VeVe is the Superman, the Spider-Mans, the VeVe Gold logo, the anything with like major IP. So a lot of stuff with Disney, a lot of the golden moments. But yeah, even the stuff on VeVe, a lot of it like probably not going to do too well. That being said, you have people that, even though I don't think it should, I mean, I think they gross like $500,000 a month, so they're doing well. Omi Token has a little bit of utility on Stacker. You could buy some of these collectibles with Stacker, often at a discount. They'll have their VeVeverse come out hopefully this quarter, maybe next quarter.
VeVe generates $500,000 a month?
They gross over $500,000, but yeah, that's
okay. So,
but that's their gross. I don't know what they have.
Here's something that's going to make people's heads spin. Okay, VeVe makes more money per quarter than Donald J. Trump Enterprises.
What is Donald J. Trump? What do they have that they do?
It's a social media platform. It's like Truth Social and shit like that.
Oh,
It
okay.
it only generates $1 million every quarter.
Damn. I feel how many people are on that? How are they not monetized? Like they don't sell ad space? They don't.
Who wants Nobody with money wants to advertise with Donald Trump and Donald Trump's bullshit projects.
So like let me because I'm coming here and I'm thinking if I have like a soda or if I have like something that I like, I mean his people are kind of crazy, right? And they'll do whatever he says. Like that's why he's like got like the number 40 token out
Yeah.
there.
And I mean, I don't know if I would say it that way, but yeah, they put a lot of trust. They put a lot of trust in his decision making about what's best for, and by the way, it's based on the things that he says. Like, I mean, you do at some point when you're having that discussion, you have to be able to step back and say, well, like, why are people like losing their mind? And you really have to be able to break it down. Like, why do people hate Trump with such a passion? And the reason that they hate Trump with such a passion is because he's saying things that are offensive, and we don't like to offend anybody. And the fact that he doesn't respect your social protocols, that you need your safe space or that you need whatever it is that you need, that he doesn't respect that because nobody had that before and he didn't grow up with that. That's where people start to disconnect. And then he says something or somebody around him says something, and then everybody is doing that. And the reason for that is because they're doing the same thing to Democrats. Every Democrat is a pedophile. Every Democrat loves illegal immigrants. Every Democrat, all of these different little baskets of these things that they don't like, and they accuse. And then, of course, the other side, the Democrats accuse the Republicans of just the opposite of it. But in the middle is this very simple thing. 30 years ago, we didn't like, as a society, we didn't like trans communities. We thought it was kind of odd, but we all sang the YMCA. We didn't really give a shit if you were gay. We didn't really care, and we still don't. The problem is, turn on a TV right now.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what you're being told. Imagine that you are not you right now. Imagine you're me right now. Imagine you look like me. Like you said, can I be white?
Yeah, I feel like Spanish people were treated
time
like that in the
traveling.
1800s.
Imagine you're me right now, and imagine you're watching TV, and a box that entertains you, that has long been representative of you. You suddenly can't find anybody that looks like you, even though they're everywhere. By the way, white people are all over the fucking TV. But when you go to a commercial, there's a commercial right now for some AIDS product. It's an HIV thing. I think it's called, I don't remember what it's called, but there is a it's like on Netflix or Hulu or something. It plays over and over again on every show. And it's like these gay couples, and they're like, I'm practicing safety, but they're taking this pre-HIV thing so you don't catch HIV and stuff like that. And the only people on there are either gay or black. And I'm not making that up.
I believe you 100%.
I'm not making that up. But then you go to, what are you looking for? If I want to have a commercial, right? If I want to have a commercial for a beer, what do I want? First of all, I don't want a white guy. Okay. I want somebody with maybe some, if you have light colored hair, okay. But that skin color, it's gotta be, you gotta ask the question. You gotta look at that person and you gotta be able to say, I don't think they all came from Germany in his clan. You know what I mean? Like that's, and by the way, when you watch these commercials, you see that it's two guys adopting a kid or something like that. And these people are not okay with that because the Jesus book told them that's bad. Because of that, we're having this sort of crisis in the world. And people do not want to advertise with a guy who promotes that.
All right, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
But they don't understand. But those people are responding to all these people who are outraged, but nobody seems to understand how many people really don't like that. We all just kind of go, okay, yeah, you're a girl now. You look pretty. You don't look pretty. You look like a fucking dude with, you're like a dude that doesn't have a dick with 5 o'clock shadow. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's and it was not okay. It was not okay. You got canceled. And the biggest problem is that Americans are so unsavvy about your First Amendment right, what it means, how it works, that they think that they can just force their beliefs upon you and that you have to comply. And both sides think the same thing. They think that free speech, oh, that's Twitter. No, it's not, dummy. It only is if the guy that runs it says that it is. If the guy that runs it says that it's not, then it's not. And you don't lose any rights because the First Amendment doesn't apply to a private company. But because we're on social media, because we're letting everybody know we just took a massive dump or we just ate some shitty food that nobody else in your neighborhood likes, you piece of shit. Just because you shared all that kind of stuff, you think that you have that right to now say whatever you want to say, and you don't. You have the right to walk outside your house and tell your friends, fuck this place. You have the right to go to your government and say, I disagree with whatever this bullshit meeting is about right now. I need to have that mic for a little while. You have those rights. You have those fundamental rights, but you don't have the right to impose your will on private citizens and businesses. It just doesn't work that way. That's why we have a constitution. That's why we have a Bill of Rights. And people are just not savvy enough on either side to understand those things. So people don't want to advertise with people who are controversial. That's just it.
So I understand that. I'm just, I guess, confused on like if there's, I don't know what I know people on the left, they like Bud Light, or I should say this. People on the right, they did not like Bud Light because they had like a trans person as a spokesperson. I love that because the boycotts on Bud Light, I remember getting like 32 cans for like $22 or something like that. It was great. Anyway, but whatever the right version of, yeah, this is right winger beer, or this is Trump. Like, if I was that, I would love to go in and advertise with Trump if that was, yeah, preach that record. Yeah. Now, obviously, if I have like lefty spokespeople, it would not be a good idea to advertise on the Trump website because nobody would buy it. I know Trump doesn't drink, but if anyone in his family or he just did a commercial, whatever,
Hulk Hogan does Real American Beer, which they're now an advertiser for True Social. But I mean, that's very few. I mean, there's
yeah.
And nobody's buying Real American Beer because nobody likes Hulk Hogan anymore. So
there,
that one's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, he got booed at like the last wrestling event he went to. I was like, damn, he just, oof.
Yeah, but so we're at the point right now where all of your lies come home in the world.
Mm.
And between him telling his daughter to be bringing an around on recording, and his little porn thing where he's banging Bubba the Love Sponge's girlfriend or wife or whatever, and all of these different things that he's done, he is not the bastion of the values that he's trying to tell you. He doesn't say his prayers and eat his vitamins. He says somebody else's prayers and eats their vitamins. You know what I mean? So when he went to LA, a bastion for liberals, then he was booed out of the building.
Yeah.
And WWE should have known that. They should have known, don't put Hulk Hogan in Los Angeles. What are you, fucking idiot? You know what I mean? Like, that was
Yeah, and
Wild.
so I think it's people are still cool in the fact that as long as you're not over the top like Hulk Hogan, like as long as you don't do that type of stuff, you could still be a Trump supporter and be like, okay, like he was on the Undertaker's podcast. I forget what it was, and Undertaker got applauded, when
Yeah.
he came out as the Great American Badass. But it was just so I think most people are still cool, regardless of what the political affiliation is, as long as you're kind of in the middle and you don't do what Hulk Hogan did, like just if you're not actively racist or not actively doing
Right.
stuff like that.
It's okay to be American. It's okay to love America. It's okay
Yeah.
for all those things. And shame on Democrats for making it seem like a bad thing. Shame on everybody who took their time to make sure that I'm an ally. I am ashamed of my people because of what you went through and all of that kind of stuff. Look, that's ridiculous and performative. You don't really give a shit. You just want people to pay attention to you, and you're using somebody else's plight for your attention-based economy here, where you want people to like your TikTok post, where your thoughts and prayers go out to the victim, and all they're saying at that point is like, pay attention to me today, while you're thinking about all these people who just died in that plane crash. Don't forget me.
Mm.
My thoughts and prayers are with you. I love you. I miss all of you. When's it going to be about me again? That's what people are doing. And people don't think that they are. But guess what? Keep your thoughts in your head and your prayers in private, and nobody would know that you had thoughts and prayers about those people. You want people to know, oh, I feel sorry for you. You're not giving your time. You're not giving your money. You're not giving anything to people. So shut the fuck up.
There
Like,
is
and as a society, we are just broken. We're just broken. Which is why buy some goddamn DEVVE so you can get rich, so you never have to put up this shit again.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get to this, Brad. So we've gone over all the other stuff. Main event here. Sorry, Pink Panther. We're coming in an hour and a half later, 96 minutes later, but we're getting to it.
Main event. Eat.
I bought DEVVE and I didn't buy enough of it when I thought it was just like, hey, they are going to get these licenses for these games. They have fiat, they have all this. So I got some at 30 cents and immediately got cut in half to 15 cents. I was like, okay, I'll get a little bit more. And it goes down to 12. I was like, oh man, maybe if it goes down to 9 cents, I'll get more because again, gaming, fiat. I was like, and then all these rumors about, like obviously you have the fastest blockchain ever, 8 million transactions per second. But then they have these rumors about having this big exchange and it not being crypto, like an actual like Wall Street type-esque exchange. And it's like, okay, well, depending on that type of partner, depending on what it is, whatever the market cap is at a zero. And it did. It went from like 14 cents to it's like $1.20 something now. So I got a little bit more at 90-ish cents, and I got a little bit more at like $1.25. Depending on what it is, and I know that a lot of times people sell the news, and I think that's that Pareto distribution, like 80% of most of the time, people do sell the news, but there's this like 20% time where they don't, and the news is so fantastical and so star-spangled amazing that it brings other people's attention to something like DEVVE that doesn't have a lot of attention at all, and it just again add another zero to it. It's like, well, Chavez, if you add another zero to it, that's like 100x from the bottom. And it's like, yeah, I think you can do 1,000x from the bottom. It's like another 100x from maybe not here, but maybe from like $1, like another 100x. How did you first discover DEVVE? And do you want me to bring that up?
One of my friends, one of my wealthier broskies, introduced me to it. And when people introduce me to stuff, I always take the time, and I liked what I saw, but I wasn't sold immediately because just because you like it doesn't mean I need to like it. If there's a crypto that I don't like, 20 minutes later, there'll be one I like. There's so many cryptos that, eventually you'll find one that resonates with you. So I just kind of stared at it for a little while. And then he said, you got to get some. So I said, okay, I'll get some. So I bought some. And then he said, hey, would you talk to the team because you've got a YouTube channel? You know, they like you. They apparently know who you are. They like you. And, you know, that maybe we could do some kind of partnership or something like that. And I said, well, sure. So I met with the team. I met with the CTO, the CEO. I met with everybody. We agreed to a partnership. And then I started making content and I started talking about them every day. And, you know, I was there at the 11 cent. I was there when it was 12 cents. I was there when it was at 30 cents. I was there when it was at 40 cents. And now, as you can see on the screen, it's formed a full-on cup and handle. And
huge. That's probably the biggest cup and handle I've ever seen.
It is.
Like
it's
that's an
matter of
11
fact,
month.
Yeah, this cup and handle is from the bottom to the top of this cup and handle is right here. So you can see that plays out right there. And I got another one that would play out like right above it, right over there. So cup and handle, one of the biggest cup and handles you've ever seen. If it breaks out and confirms, then it goes to $18 on the cup and handle. That's how big this move was. And then if that breaks out, it goes to $192.
Bruh.
Yeah.
So this is when you first got into it. I know you said you were there at like 11, 12 cents.
Yeah.
So you got into it before then, like on the way down from, because obviously when it
came out, I got in. So when I got involved, they told me that I got in 2 months after launch. So they had the launch and then they had this area right here. I got in right here at 44 cents, like right in this range, right around 44. And it was the beginning of May, right here. So I was in 44, 45, 46 cents right there in that zone right there. What had happened was, and I'll tell you, just so you guys, I mean, just in case anybody really wants to know, NASDAQ is the partner. I mean, and now I'm 99.
Well, we don't know that. We're heavily
I'm 99.9% sure that it's NASDAQ because a year ago, I was on my channel talking about some things that were going on in the market. And I'll even show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. NASDAQ right here. Back in November and August of 23, not 24.
Way back.
Okay. I was talking about NASDAQ and that here NASDAQ will oversee. BlackRock files Ethereum ETF. NASDAQ will oversee. In this article that this was covered in, it was announced that NASDAQ would be using that they would be it's called institutional exchange, that they would be running custodies and institutional projects for big time investors, and that it would not be available to the general public, right? So that's what I saw over a year ago. And that's always didn't even stick with me like at the forefront of my mind, by the way. Like I didn't give a shit about that. It was just it was a news article. I covered the news. It's what I do. Then Deie was talking about there's got to be somebody out there. There's got to be somebody out there. There's got to be somebody out there. And then in Telegram one day, I go into Telegram and I go into one of the Deie chats. And while I'm in one of the Deie chats, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was in one of the chats, one of the developers was in there and said, we're not even competing, guys, with other exchanges, because somebody asked the question, how are you going to compete with Binance and Kraken and crypto.com and Coinbase? How are you going to compete with all these people? And he said, we don't compete with them at all. We're going to be an institutional exchange. That's the benefit of DEVVE, and that's the benefit of 8 million transactions per second. You see, with a credit card or with crypto, like you don't need 8 million transactions per second, because, you know, I think Visa does a maximum of 3,000 transactions per second or something like that. But when you have institutions that are doing stock trading, There's millions of transactions, right? So that's what we're doing. And then 2 days later, I don't remember what I was doing, but I was like in the middle of having a conversation. I was talking about DEVVE. I was going through it. And I was like, yeah, guys, look, I'm just telling you right now that I think this thing is going to take off. Like, we had this rip up here to 50 cents. It came back down here to 24 cents. I think it's going to explode from here. Like, I think it's going to, and then all of a sudden it hit me. Like right in the middle of my stream, I was like, oh shit, I know who it is. And then I couldn't figure it out because I wasn't sure. I was like, I know I talked about it. And then I went back through all my old videos until I found a big business. And then when I went back and I read the article, because I'd linked the article in the video and everything like that, when I went back to it, guess what? Said almost the same thing that they were saying. And I was like, oh shit, it's going to be NASDAQ. So that's how I got to NASDAQ. And then all the pieces that have come out since then, including DevStream, NAS, DevStream NASDAQ right here. DevStream is currently trading at 55 cents on NASDAQ, down 4.5%. 1 month trade volume is right here. 1 year trade volume right here. It was launched over here on November 7. DevStream is now traded on NASDAQ. That was the first step. And I was like, oh shit, like they're listed on NASDAQ, which means that they are now a quote unquote viable business for that purpose. So I was like, this has got to be it. Then a couple of other developers just, and like nobody has said it that's a developer, but they had given so many different insinuations that it was somebody and that if you played it right, you could figure it out and stuff like that. I'm like, I already figured it out. And nobody has corrected me since then. So I'm telling you that it is my opinion that it's NASDAQ and that they're going to be the RWA for NASDAQ, who will be tokenizing stocks and bonds. And that's what's happening right now. And when this is announced, then DEVVE goes to, I want to say, somewhere in the neighborhood. And by the way, here's why this is important. If you really put pen to paper, the number one RWA is Chainlink, and it's at 12.7 billion market cap. It's not partnered with NASDAQ, though. Is it more important to be Chainlink, or is it more important to be partnered with NASDAQ? That's really the question. And I think that it's more important to be partnered with NASDAQ. So what I think is going to happen is, I think that CoinGecko price compare, I think that what you're going to see is a big move. It'll go to 1 billion market cap, which is going to be about a 10x away. So it'll go to 1 billion market cap, which is at Psi, or call it Quant right now. And then of course there'll be, whatever consolidation for the next leg up. But then I think immediately it's worth at least 5 billion. So if you take DEVVE and you say that,
figure that's, let's round down and say it's $100 million market cap. It's 110, but let's say it's 100. That's a 50x from here.
Yeah.
And so to go from where we were before, and I know you had 2 cup and handles over there, one where you said it got to like 192 or something.
Yeah.
We were talking before about you didn't like a lot of gaming tokens because there's not a lot of revenue. Depending on this partnership, we don't know what type of partnership it is. And even though we're both 99% sure that it is NASDAQ, assuming that it is, we don't know what type it is, though, and how much revenue that they're getting.
Right.
So how are we? And again, DEVVE is my 3rd biggest bet. I love the shiz out of this. I have interviewed Ray. I've interviewed Tom. I love this team. But how are we justifying a $5 billion market cap if we're not knowing what the revenues are?
First, the current model will change, by the way. I think we should make sure that everybody understands that DEVVE is an ecosystem. This ecosystem currently has its token sitting on a wrapped ETH pairing. Okay. So it's not going to continue to be this token. There has to be a moment in time where it moves over to its own blockchain. So we have to remember that first of all. Secondly, in order for that to happen, there has to be some level of support. So not only will NASDAQ be doing it, but also just for clarity here, you're going to see, look, one of the things that when we justify 5 billion from a revenue stream, you're not partnered with NASDAQ for free. NASDAQ is paying you for that. If the people who are invested in the crypto don't see that, that's okay. It's the company and the value of the company that matters to the investor when I have this as a tokenized thing. So a 5 billion, by the way, that's my low end estimation. Just for clarity, like that's the
your low
low end.
estimation is the first is what?
My low end here is Uniswap, 5 billion market cap, that I'm thinking that it's going to go to $62.97. But if you look, there's a lot of different cryptos for a lot less than a NASDAQ partnership. And I mean a lot less than a NASDAQ partnership goes to something like, what is this, 9 billion market cap. Toncoin was at a 9 billion market cap. Dogecoin with no function, no use, and unlimited minting goes to, what's the maximum market cap on Dogecoin? 70 billion, something like that. Somewhere.
Yeah, give or take
4 billion. So something with no reason to exist, right? If DEVVE could go to Doge level, $448 per coin.
That's a lot.
Right.
And again, so I'm not saying it doesn't do that. It's just I don't know what.
I'm not either. I'm just saying this is rampant speculation about the possibility at this point. What we know is, number one, the technology is solid. It is secure. Number one. It's number two, it's fast, sub-second finality. And number three, it does as many transactions per second as you can spin up nodes for it. So those are the things that we know, which means that it has value. The other things that we know is that there is one massive partnership that's being announced and two other massive partnerships for governments that are adopting this blockchain for their own internal use and for the use in their country as well. So I don't know how deep that runs either. So in the event that some of these are major countries and not just, I don't know, Cuba, you know what I mean? Like, as long as it's not some country that we're not going to see any real benefit from, but we're going to see then a lot of cryptos have pumped a lot harder off of a lot less news. When those things happen, the other piece to this that people don't understand, or that they understand in the back of their mind, I think they just don't, comprehension kind of sucks every once in a while because you don't believe it until you see it. But when this happens, people will flood into DEVVE originally because they'll be like, NASDAQ, are you fucking kidding me? And they're going to be buying it up, and it will probably, 10x, 20x. But when it does, then you're going to be looking at it, and Binance is going to be like, oh, I want a piece of that. And they're going to list it on Binance. And then Coinbase is going to be like, oh, yeah, we need that. That's an American company doing American shit. We need to be on that one too. And then all of a sudden, not only is it going to be listed everywhere, but then you're going to start hearing, oh, Coinbase is now supporting the DEVVE blockchain. Do you know what I mean? And it's part of Coinbase wallet and shit like that. And by the way, I don't think that is very likely to happen because, remember, it's a permissioned blockchain. This blockchain is built for businesses. It's not built for you and me to transact, but somebody will take a section of DEVX and they will turn it into a meme coin paradise. So, all of the things that we're hoping, fingers crossed are about to happen, they're going to happen. It's just how high at this point is it going to go? That's the question. And the DEVVE team, because I know some of these guys, they believe that they are every bit as comparable as Ethereum. So if DEVVE goes to Ethereum's price,
I mean,
$3,770 per coin. And remember, this is going to be the blockchain that runs the NASDAQ ecosystem going forward.
I also think that because they, again, likely have NASDAQ, that it'll be easier for them to get something like Vanguard or State Street or BlackRock, like all of these different types of things. And then they also have a bunch of patents that I'm sure a bunch of people are using already, and they're not. I think the amount of money that they could make from these licensing out whatever it is that they have, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars, like each like quarter.
Well, it's also ISO 20022 compliant, so it's American. It works with every blockchain that's ISO compliant, and it's gonna look. Everybody who wants to do business, in my opinion, with NASDAQ is going to have to adopt this in some way. So what happens when BlackRock wants to start buying NASDAQ stocks? Well, they're going to access the DEVVE blockchain. So they're going to have exposure to it. So they're going to be interested in it. Same thing with VanEck, same thing with Fidelity, same thing with ARC21, same thing with Bitwise. They're all going to need access to this in order to, all of your wealth management companies are going to need access to the DEVVE blockchain if this is in fact what's going on. So this is going to be the start of a new paradigm. And I mean, again, somebody can go in there and get themselves a little piece of the DEVVE blockchain and turn it into a meme coin paradise if they want to. And that might create some more traffic and value and stuff like that for it. But what we have going on right now, in my estimation, I put it this way. One of my buddies who got super rich off of another project that I was talking to one day, I was like, hey, man, I can't put everything into one project. That is just irresponsible to me. Like, there's no way. Like, so what are you doing? And he's like, I'm all in on DEVVE. And I'm like, yeah, but look, what I mean is, so I have, I get $50,000 worth of DEVVE right now, but I got 30,000 of this one. I got 20,000 of this one. He's like, put it all in DEVVE. And I'm like, dude, that's, that's no. And he's like, bro, put everything in DEVVE. That's how confident the team is right now. Like, the team feels, and this is rumor, by the way, this is not the team telling me directly. The team feels like when this announcement happens that they're like, so when this one happens, there's going to be more that follows. That's the key ingredient here. And I don't know, and none of us know what that is. But when the first announcement drops, there's going to be like layers to everything. And here's what they think. They think that, today it's going to be trading at $1.50, or what's it, $1.27? $1.27 right now. Tomorrow, if the announcement happens, it'll go to $5 or $6. It'll consolidate for 24 hours, and then it'll go to $15 or $20. It'll consolidate for a day or two, and it'll go to $50. And before, like, it'll just boom like that, and we'll be at $50, and you won't even know. Like, it's going to be so, they think it's going to happen so quickly that you're just going to be like, what the just happened? You know what I mean?
I mean, that happens with a lot of tokens. Like, happened with Omi last cycle in like January or like December of 2020. It was like quad zero, like 4. And then in like January, February of 21, it went up to like 1.3 cents. And it just happens all the time with these tokens, especially ones that are undervalued and overlooked.
Right.
Now, I know they have multiple announcements before the big one. Yep. One of which was the what's his name? Will Stern? Will Stewart. Will Stewart. I thought that was amazing just because of what he's done. Like, I know he was always like a board member or advisor, but now that he's actively doing a role for them and essentially raising capital for them, that's a really big deal. But a lot of what's in the Telegram is just like, wait, so what? Like, this isn't a really big announcement. Basically, and this is for the vocal ones that I'm imagining are a vocal minority that are saying like, okay, well, when moon, when bags, when stonks. And I'm not 100% sure that everyone's going to appreciate or get the announcements. because Ray and Tom and everyone are maybe a little too smart, and they're going to assume that like this is going to be crazy, and it is going to be crazy. But I think that a lot of people aren't going to get the depth of what the announcements are. Now, obviously, NASDAQ, you have that name. There's nothing really to understand there. It's very easily translatable. But some of the other things, do you worry that they might kind of go over some people's heads?
No, because like an onion, you got to peel back a lot of layers. They don't care what you or I think. They don't make their money based on price go up for my coin. They don't care about that. They care about a successful company that can fund itself, that can earn money for its technology and make a profit off of that, regardless of what the coin price is. That they are not even interested in what that price is right now. The only people that really, really care about it at this point are the people who are not savvy in cryptocurrency and don't have the patience to just sit there and let their bag grow. So the people that are in Telegram that are crying about it, fuck those people. They were there at 12 cents. They just watched it go up to $1.80. What do you want? You just saw a 15x. So why don't you take your 15x, go fuck yourself with it, and stop crying because you look like a baby. You know what I mean? Like,
please, I love you so much.
The
unsavvy the soonest people, I ever told that someone that.
The unsavvy people are the ones that are complaining. And look, when I talked to the team initially, they even warned me that, look, we don't really care about the price of the crypto at this point. That's a long-term piece. This is going to be the coup de grace for everything that we're doing. We're going to build, right? We're not going to get listed on exchanges until it's time. We're not going to do all these different things until it's time. And when they were having that conversation with me, if you pull that chart back up one more time.
Oh, wait. Oh, why can't I full screen? There we go.
That X right there, that's where they told me that. So they told me back then, we don't care about what the price does. We don't care about that. We know that you do because you're, that's for you. You're the crypto bro. We don't care what this price is. We're not going to list on exchanges. We've got this happening right here, and this is going to happen all the way up to right here. The actual date for that was November 11, right there. So what was happening was they had a pre-sale right here. The pre-sale, you didn't get your tokens unlocked until 60 days. That was right here. In that 60-day windows, you got 40% of your tokens during that period of time. So what they did was they got they gave everybody that had bought in the pre-sale their 40%, and then those people started dumping on the price. And they were going to dump on the price until this spot right here, November 11, when it had been a 6-month cliff. And once that 6-month cliff was done, then and only then would they start looking at what the next step is. So now you get to right here, and that's, the next step is boom, 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 up to almost $2. So, they're the ones that are doing the right things. If you go back and you look at, the over the course of a year or 365 days at what, at what DEVVE has done, or if you look at it from like a 6-month window or something like that, then you're going to be nothing more than impressed that, like, oh my God, they've really done a great job here. Like they've figured it out, on the crypto bubble. If you look at like for a year and you go to, is it 400 or 300?
Damn, what the heck is Wizard?
It's a shit coin. It's magic internet money. Where's that? Right there. It's Bitcoin Wizards. It's magic. It's MIM, magic internet money. Let me see here. Where is DEVVE? I think it's 300 to 400 right in here. We should see a little bit of this is over 1 year. Oh, if it's in 1 year, then it's probably down. Yeah, it's down 19% overall. For the month, it's up 7. It's down 19% for this year. That's, God damn it. I thought it might be for, oh well. Anyway, if you were to look back at, if you were to look at it over a year, you've had a massive run. So the only people crying about it are the 10 people that bought up here. You know what I mean? Fuck those guys.
If you take a look at what you were talking about, the unlocks, it goes all the way up to, I think, 125 million tokens have to be unlocked by like 2028. But like 80 of them, 80 something million were unlocked over the last several months. So like what was it, 66%?
Well, this was the pre-sale. The pre-sale is done. The rest of the unlocks are developers, people like myself, that are still sitting on big bags of tokens that are locked up, that'll be locked up for a long period of time. And the purpose behind that, by the way, they don't want you worried about your tokens. Like that's it. They don't want you to worry about your tokens. They want you to worry about, let's make money from this project and let's turn it into a thriving business. Because if we do that, coin price takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Because that's your valuation as a company in crypto. So that's what they're doing. And that's what they're working on. And, so far, it looks like they've done a decent job. Whether it continues or not, I don't know.
And the spirit of speculation, I would say that this is before it'll be announced before the end of the first half of the year, before June, whatever it is. Does it happen to be announced in Q2? Do you think it's announced in Q1? I mean, we're already past January. Any ideas?
I really thought that it was going to happen in January. I really thought that it was going to happen in January. So they seem to be, I mean, I'll put it this way. The only thing that I can go on, because they won't say anything, is because they're over the moon. I'll just put it that way. They're over the moon right now. So they know something is coming. They just can't say anything. Like they're even joking, because they've even heard us talking about the rumors, and they've even said multiple times, like, it's, the cat's out of the bag. So, now it's just a waiting game. You know what I'm saying? So they have not said at any point that it is, you know what I mean? But
like I said, I'm hoping that, I'm hoping to stack more as much as I can. The best course of action, or the best events that could take place, would be that it stays down here another month and a half, get a little bit more money, and I could stack at these prices, then it goes up. There's a buddy of mine that just sold their house to get
no chance.
There's no chance.
Well, so the reason that I say that is because the market's not going to do that.
That is fair.
I mean, we're at the start of 20% Bitcoin gain, 30% Bitcoin gain. The rising tide will lift all boats. So, I think the more likely scenario right now is by the end of this month, I think DEVVE is about $4.
Damn.
Like I think it'll go up to, I think it'll hit the golden ratio, and the golden ratio off the last impulse move is $3.76. So I think that's what's going to end up happening. That's way more likely than anything else, because the market
is more likely that happens than it kind of, because it's been trading. A lot of times it's gone back down to like $1.08, $1.20. I know at some point, the longer the base, the bigger the breakout, and you have to break out at some point or break down.
Let me take you on a journey real quick, and then
I like
this kind of explains all of it. So this right here.
Yep.
All right. So this is the total crypto market cap, and we're talking about where we are right now versus 2021. Okay. In 2021, we were right over here. So what we're looking at right now is, remember, we're on February 4. So this is the bull market last time that we're in right now. Here is February 4 right here. We're at February 4 right now. So if you look at where we were right here, back to here, that's what you see. You see this thing eventually broke out. Okay.
Yeah.
And it actually broke out, if you look at it, on February 3rd, February 4th. Now, because we did not, because the bull market, it doesn't, it's not the same day. I think the previous one was in April 11 or something. So, it's like 10 days off, 15 days off, 20 days off, something like that. So that's what happened. We had that pennant, and then boom, explosion, right? Well, if you come over here and refresh, guess what's happening right now?
Okay.
Oops. Right. So the same thing is happening right now. This is going to break towards that upside in short order. So if we just kind of, just kind of move it around a little bit, try to find out where we really connect the most. Right there, right there, right there. We've got the same thing. So we've got this kind of pennant playing out. It's a little bit broader. It's a little bit more risky, if it looks like. But there's a lot of meme coins. So what we just got was the bottom of the move right here. And now we're breaking towards that upside. I think any day now, we're just going to break out above, and then we're just going to start the run. Now, let me go back over here and let's look at that one more time, because this is where it happened, right? So we got this run right here.
And that ended when? Or when it broke out?
February 21st is where we capped out over here. And then it came back down just a little bit. We had a nice little correction. You see that impulse move right there. The real impulse move came right here. So when you look at it, perfect fib retracement. And then it broke out above that. And then it kept on going and kept on going. And we went through March. It kept on going. April, it kept on going all the way up here. Okay. So that's what we got right after this. Okay. So if we take that and we say that, right in the middle here is going to be a fair estimate of where we go. Now let's take this,
move it over,
kind of zoom out and move that over and say, that's not gonna be the same thing, but something similar should happen over here. So if we did that and we put that right there, then we're talking about this market going to like $9 trillion.
God damn.
Like that's where we are right now. That's what seems to be getting ready to play out. And by the way, that we're sitting right here doing this right now. This is 21 versus 25. But what if we come back and we do this and say, what about 2017? What did it look like in 2017? Well, here is 2017. This is where you're going to be like, oh shit, because now here we are on February 4, right? Right here. We're on February 4, right there. And all we did was go sideways, 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 sideways until the 13th and 14th. And then we got this big move. And what was this big move? This big move right here was 28% in a day. Then we went through to April. And then by the end of April, look at the shit that happened right here. We go up in through June and we're still ripping. And then we dip just a little bit through the summer, buy in May or sell in May, walk away, boom. And then what happens? It continues on and continues on and continues on and continues on into December. This is what we had. And then that's when the correction comes in. And now when you zoom out on it and you look at it, it doesn't seem so aggressive like that. But that's from February right here till the end of the year was this absolute banger of a move, which was from there to there, which was 39x for the entire market, almost a 40x for the entire crypto market at that point. And then the same thing happens over here again. And then here we are right here waiting for the same thing to happen one more time. So it always happens. We're going to get there. And that's why DEVVE is not going to be $1.25 or $1.50 at the end of this month. More likely, it's going to be about $4.
So that is even without an announcement. You think
without an announcement? Yeah, without an announcement. The one thing to understand is DEVVE is paired with Ethereum. Ethereum is grossly undervalued right now.
Yeah.
It will not stay undervalued. Ethereum is about to break out. If you've got the president's son talking about an Ethereum breakout, there will be an Ethereum breakout at some point very, very soon. They are going to give it up. And as we get closer to March, as we get closer later in this month, this thing is going to start ripping. The one piece about Ethereum that's not like the reason that it's not pumping is the one specific reason. And that is because there isn't staking available to the Ethereum ETF holders.
Yeah.
If there were staking available, then they would be earning yield and this thing would be blowing up. But because they can't earn any money and it's just a speculative asset and not an actual earning asset for them, they can't do what they would like to do, which is just sit back and let it run and let it earn them more Ethereum. No. That's the purpose of Ethereum. And Ethereum on the ETF is not being used to its purpose. So as soon as Donald Trump and his administration say, hey, we're going to allow staking for Ethereum ETFs, when they say that, Ethereum immediately goes to 5,000.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen. And it will happen very soon. And then when that happens, that's when the bull run will just absolutely start to that's when we'll really see an altcoin season.
So if we have and let's now be a little bit more bullish on this. If we go and we have, I know it's theoretical at this point, but a super cycle, how would you define that as something that, okay, maybe we don't end the bull market in December, maybe we end it in December of 2026, or do you think that no, it'll still be the same amount of time, but the velocity in which we launch off is going to be that much greater?
My estimation is that at the end of this cycle, altcoins will start to tumble like they always have. All DeFi will tumble like it always does. Bitcoin will tumble, but not nearly as much as it has previously. Last time we got, a 75% dump. The time before that, we got an 80% dump. It's getting less and less. Now, if we were to get that dump, it would be like 60% or, something like that.
Even with like all these countries adopting and all these institutions buying, still think we get that big of a dump?
Well, yeah, because it's still based on retail. So, when you look at this right now, you can say in the last bull market, we went from the bottom to the top, and then we did a fib retracement around to the 786 line. Okay. On its move when we get to, let's pop this up here. So there's the bottom of the previous market. And then fib says right here to right here. That's the top right there.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Now we went straight down to 786, which is about 17,000. Now you can see here, we dipped down just a little bit below the 786, but generally speaking, we came down to the 786. Okay. That really means that we lost 78%, almost 80%. So we actually did lose quite a bit coming through that. So now what we need to look at is more likely this is going to be the next number, depending on where the full move is. So when we do this fib retracement again during the end of this bull market, when we actually have a top that we can do, and we could speculate on a lot of these positions, but if we just said that it went to 250,000, if we just said that, I don't know what the number is, but if we just said it was going to go to 250,000, we go up here and we could say, hey, 250,000 right here. All right. So Bitcoin should retrace anywhere between 106,000 and somewhere down here around 67, 68,000. Like that's going to be the range right there, where if you make, I'll put it this way, if you make millions of dollars in this bull run and you decide that you want to buy Bitcoin, you should buy Bitcoin in December of 2026 and January of 2027. You should load up and then get prepared, because the 4-year bull cycle will still be the same thing, and it will still start to pump, and it will still go up again the next time. Might not go up as much, but you will make a ton of money over again all on Bitcoin by doing that when it comes down into that range right there, because the next bull market move, if it went to 250,000, you know, if you looked at it, if you look at it and it goes to 250,000, then the golden ratio, and that is the 618, right? The 1618 right here. The golden ratio for the next cycle is 633,000. So if you can buy Bitcoin down here at 100 or 67, 70,000, if you just buy on spot a bunch of Bitcoin, let's just imagine you had a couple $1,000,000 and you just put $2 million into Bitcoin right here at 105,000. It goes to 600,000. You've just 6x'd your money in 2 years.
So there's I don't have any Bitcoin, just because obviously it's the safest thing in crypto out there. It's but I don't, like, we're talking about DEVVE doing this like 100x. We talk about, I think Omi does a 100x from here. I think Definity does that, you know, several 100x from here. Do you have any Bitcoin? And if so, why not just load up on alts that can potentially outperform it by like multiple X's?
Well, first of all, there's a couple of things to that. Number one, yes, I own some Bitcoin. I own more than one Bitcoin. However, just like you said, I don't think I'm not going to get, I will not be a millionaire off of Bitcoin unless I do a lot of trading and use a lot of leverage and take a lot of risk. I'm not prepared for that. I don't have, I'll put it this way. If I lost, I have 1.5 Bitcoin basically. If I lost 1.5 Bitcoin, I'd be fine. You know what I mean? Like, you know, sometimes shit happens. Like I would be fine. But, and that's not the one that's going to make me rich, by the way. I would not care if I lost the Bitcoin. I care if I lose the DEVVE. I care if I lose the fiat. You know what I mean? I care about the things that I think are going to go parabolic. I care about those because those allow me to have the capital to buy more Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, you should at least have, if you have $1 million, half of your $1 million, that if it's an investment, half of your $1 million should be in Bitcoin. The end. Shouldn't even be a question at that point, because that's going to make you a millionaire, because it will double from where it is right now. So that guarantees you $1 million if you're a millionaire right now. If you're not, I would do the same thing. I would not be invested much in Bitcoin. Now, and by the way, I will tell you guys this, I'm not a millionaire. So I just have accumulated Bitcoin over the years, and it's in a secure private wallet that nobody even knows exists but me. You know what I mean? So that's my hold on, but I know it's not going to make me rich. If it rips and explodes, it's going to be worth at maximum, in my opinion, $500,000. No. So I'm not even going to be a millionaire off of the Bitcoin that I have right now in this bull cycle. I don't think there's any path forward for that. Definitely from DEVVE, definitely from fiat, you know, definitely from other projects that I'm in, like Trump. And Trump's going to go to 100 billion market cap. I'm sure of it. So there's plenty of money that I'm going to make on different projects here and there. Those will give me millions. Those will give me the opportunity to buy 10 or 20 Bitcoin down the road at that $100,000 dip. And then I'll just hold on to that. You know, I'll take, you know, a couple $1 million, buy some Bitcoin, sit on that Bitcoin for 2 or 3 years. And then at the end of that, I'll have a couple $1 million more, and, you know, I'll be better off for it. And then I'll be putting $10,000 into meme coins instead of $1 million into meme coins. You know what I mean? It'll just be it'll be a paradigm shift of protecting my money.
Agreed. I think that's because especially when you're able to borrow against it, you're never really going to need to sell. Like if you accumulate a lot in the next bear and then it goes up, and then let's say you want to go and transfer that, and you cycle into some alts that, like, obviously the alts that are super undervalued this year are likely not going to be the alts that are undervalued in 2028 8. But you won't need to. You won't need to sell your Bitcoin for that. You can just borrow against it and then use that money to buy those alts.
Or and my plan, by the way, just to be clear here, and Ryan, by the way, is asking a very good question. So if you're not sold on blockchain gaming, why are you holding Fiat? Just curious. Because Fiat is the gas that runs the DEVVE blockchain for gaming, and if DEVVE causes the Deie ecosystem to explode, Fiat will explode along with it. I'm just an opportunistic person when it comes to this. I am not married to Fiat in any way. I will sell it as soon as I make a bunch of money off of it. I have at this price right now, I have about $6,000. So I've got 75,000, 80,000 tokens. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't have a ton of it, but I got a good amount. And if it goes to $1, that's going to be like 80 grand. I'll take that. You'll never see me holding Fiat again. You know what I mean? Like because
have you played the games on Bleeves?
Yeah, I've got the game. I've got the games. I'm not a fan of them. I talk to them all the time about upgrades. They're working on some upgrades for the games just because I won't stop bitching about it. So, but I mean, you know, like that game, Litcraft doesn't even run using this token at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we're not there yet. It's just, you know. And by the way, Battle World, I haven't played Battle World yet. But you know, I'm going to hold on to it because it's a speculative asset. If it pumps super hard and I make a good amount of money, by the way, I'm folding it. If for any reason something happened with Fiat in the next 48 hours and it went to $1, and that's what, 15x, 16x, something like that. If that happened, I would sell that shit and move over to Deie entirely. So I'm not holding it because I believe in blockchain gaming. I'm holding it because I'm being opportunistic about it. And I got it early and I got it at a very, very cheap price. By the way, remember when it got hacked and they had to go to a V2 because that
was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the staking wallet got hacked. Well, I was one of the people that bought on that dip trying to protect the price. So I'll be honest with you guys, like I want to say like $100, I got like 15,000 tokens for like $100. So I'm gonna hold that shit for a long time.
Yeah.
Because I am DCA down to the bone when it comes down to Fiat, because I think the price on it was like 0.003, 0.002, something like that. Like when it dipped hard. And I got a lot for very little. And I'm just like, you know what? Works for me. And so now I'm a big bag holder for something that I think when Deie pumps, it's going to pump along with it. It's just going to be an easy side hustle for me on that one. So, and what I'm going to do, by the way, just for clarity's sake here, so that everybody knows, so there's no question, because I'll be, one of the things that you will find out about me if you ever subscribe to my channel or come over and check me out, I am real consistent about what I'm going to do. October, November of this year, I will be completely 100% out of crypto, except for long-term bags that'll be on my ledger. Well, that'll be on my Elapal, but I'll be holding on to some things that I think, like, I'm going to hold on to a couple thousand DEVVE because I think that DEVVE probably has a shot in 8 or 9 years to go to a 2,000, 3,000 per token price. So I'm going to hold on to a couple thousand in a ledger no matter what. So I'll have that kind of sitting on the side. But other than that, I will be completely out of the market. Everything will be sold until December of 2026. On December of 2026, I will then start to accumulate again. And that accumulation will be based on mostly Bitcoin with some speculative moves into whatever the hot thing is. If Deie dumps super hard, I'll buy a bunch more Deie. If Solana dips super hard, I'll buy a bunch more Solana. If Ethereum has come back around and we're starting to feel it again with Ethereum, I'll buy a bunch of Ethereum. You know, it'll all go up. December 26 should be the bottom. January 27 should be the bottom of the market. And I will be fully back into the market at that point. But in the meantime, I'm going to take all of the money that I make. I'm going to put it all into USDC. I'm going to set it on Coinbase. and I'm just going to earn yield from staking it at 4.3%, I think. So every million is $43,000.
At that point, why not just do a T-bill and get like 5 or 6%? Would it just be slightly over the USDC?
Because the T-bills, so the bonds are only high right now because of the way we are in the market and with inflation being super hot. So by the time we get to the end of this market, inflation probably has cooled down, and bond yields are going to be nearer to 3.5% and 4% instead of 5%. So I won't be able to make it to that cut. But if otherwise, you goddamn right, that's what I would have done.
Good point.
So I'm going to throw it all into USDC. I'm going to let Coinbase pay me, and I figure that here's the way I figured. If I take $3 million into Coinbase at 4.3% means that I'm going to earn about $130,000 a year. Like, it's not enough to live on, but it's enough to, help pay bills. So why not?
There's you said, so Q4, by the end of Q4, it'll definitely be out of everything, but maybe even early Q4, October, you'll be out. What if there's a narrative that hasn't run yet? Maybe it's like DeSci, or maybe it's like bank. Like, what if there's a narrative that hasn't hit by that point, and you're like, okay, well, this is probably still going to hit. It just hasn't hit yet. Would you go in?
It would be a small amount in my Ledger wallet or Ellipal wallet, and I'll just be sitting it and forgetting it. Otherwise, I will still be doing content. I will still be working. I'll still be doing YouTube. I'll still be educating. I'll still be doing my Bears podcast. I'll still be doing everything. I just won't be, holding all of these different cryptos. I'll still be talking about them.
That's fair. Again, I have no idea when certain things run. Obviously, it all goes in cycles. My goal, as DEVVE goes up, and I would sell a little bit at. Originally, it said 20, but you said if it's expected to be at like 18, so maybe at 17, 16, whatever, I'll take a little bit off there. If it can run before OMI or Definity goes up, I'll take the bulk of it out of there, split it in between those two.
Yeah.
And then both of those, again, that are, grossing those 6 figures per month, I would go in and I would split it in between then. And one of those will run first. And then, so that's, what's something you'd buy after DEVVE and Fias goes up? What do you cycle into?
I'll put it this way. In the event, it's unlikely, but in the event that we woke up tomorrow, the announcement's made, a couple of announcements get made, DEVVE runs to $100, right? I would probably cash out everything for a few $1,000,000 and Fias as well. And I would take all of that money and I would probably keep out $100,000 for myself to pay for travel, just to kind of go around to all the events and stuff like that in crypto. So I'd probably take a little piece out because I don't really need money, but it would be nice to have an extra couple, just an extra secret stash, just in case I, want to go somewhere, do something, stuff like that. But I would take all of it and buy Bitcoin with it. And remember, like I told you before, even if I sold all my DEVVE, I would still have some sitting in a cold storage, waiting for that gigantic move, which I know is coming later. There's no reason for me to not hold on to like 2,000 or so DEVVE or 3,000 or so DEVVE because, you hold on to 3,000 and it goes to $1,000 in the next bull run, right? That's $3 million. And like I probably paid, $600 for it, $300 for it, whatever price. So I'm going to hold on to that. This will just be one of those dead wallets that will look on chain, will be activating at some point saying a guy who bought DEVVE back in 2025 just moved 1,000 DEVVE to Coinbase. So prepare for dump or something like that. You know what I mean? But otherwise, I'm going to, if there's another conviction play that I do have, it's called API 3. I think that one's going to go to about $100. It's also an RWA. It's better than Chainlink. And I'm not continuing to attack Chainlink, by the way, but it's better than Chainlink. So I think that it's probably going to run up over $100 a token, as well as DEVVE. So those are my two big conviction plays. So if DEVVE exploded, I would buy a bunch of Bitcoin and I would put a little bit more into API 3, but I also already have quite a good amount in API 3 anyway. So if API 3 goes to $100, I make a couple $1,000,000 again anyway. So
cool beans. So we've been, thank you for your time. We've been at this for about 2.5 hours. We should talk off camera for a little bit, but before we do that, there's 260 people watching. What do you want to tell them? What do you want to tell people?
Don't get scared. Crypto is a very volatile business. If you are convicted on something, if you have a strong conviction in something like DEVVE or Fiat or Trump coin or API 3 that I just talked about, or if you love the butthole, a lot of people right now love the butthole coin. If you have a conviction that you think, and you have fundamentally, you think that this project or this idea or this principle or this concept is a winner, and you can prove that in your own mind and be honest with yourself. If this is a good play, if it's something like that, do not let yourself get shaken out. Number two, remember that sell in May and walk away is usually a good rule of thumb. Buy in July so you don't die, and then ride it up for the end of this run. And then, like I said before, October, November of this year, make sure that you have taken enough profit that you can pay yourself for the next couple of years, because that dip will come. And even, by the way, if Bitcoin doesn't dip, the rest of the market is still going to dip, because it is my estimation Bitcoin decouples from the broad crypto market, and that Ethereum kind of takes over as the main crypto asset, if you will, or Solana maybe even does that, or XRP maybe even does that. But Bitcoin matures, breaks away, and then the rest of the market dips like it would normally dip. So manage your risk, manage your assets. Don't get shaken out by dips in the market and stuff like that. Raoul Pal will always tell you that he didn't make his money swing trading. He didn't make his money scalping. He made his money long-term hodling his conviction plays and waiting for the bull market to fix whatever financial needs he had. And that's how Raoul Pal made his money. Robert Kiyosaki, the same thing. All of these financial gurus who are also crypto savvy will tell you the same thing. You will not make it swing trading. You will not make it scalp trading. You will make it by holding a conviction play and allowing it to grow. And if you do that, you're going to be fine.
Preach. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being with us and imparting that wisdom.
Yeah.
Everyone say bye-bye to Deie. Bye-bye, Deie.
Later, Deie.
We'll catch y'all on the replays.